This rabbit hat is his Christmas beard, apparently. Welcome to the show, everyone. I don't know what Peachy's showing us.
Oh, are we live? Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Every time, it's like, should we roll the intro? Yes, let's roll the intro now. And then he'll be like, let's have a conversation.
45 seconds.
Yeah, that was 45 seconds.
That was not 45 seconds. Don't fucking...
Bloody was.
Are you a chronomancer?
No, I'm the man who added the video and it says 45 seconds. But yes, welcome everyone to episode 21 of the Fully Rendered Podcast. I am your host, Brian the Pirate, and I am, of course, joined by the wonderful...
Itchy Pixelate. Hi, how you doing?
I knew he was going to do it. I waited.
I'm just going to do this in the future. This is like...
Oh,
Robin
the
from One
gang
Piece.
signs with the FBI and shit, dude. Come on.
And Pulp
no, not
Fiction
again.
with a broken arm.
There you go. Do you want to start with that then? Do you want to explain to those who may not be caught up with the
I broke
fisting
my arm
accident?
right before Thanksgiving, guys. The
You
day
didn't just
before
break her arm.
Yeah.
Just broke it.
She
slipped and
folded
fell.
that shit in half, dude.
I did. I dislocated my wrist. I posted it on Twitter and everything, and it looks horrifying. It looks utterly horrifying. But it was my wrist was dislocated, and I broke my radius in two different spots. One spot.
Yeah.
I have a fact checker next to me.
I remember looking at the X-ray, and I was like, "That's not broken. That's someone's taken a hand and an arm, put them on a sheet of paper, and then done an X-ray and gone, look at these two limbs I have," kind of thing. Like they were completely separated from each other. So,
It's
yeah.
funny because like I have like this mental image. I was at the ER because it happened at 1:30 in the morning. And I was in the ER. The vet tech, sorry, the X-ray tech came in. We were dealing with vet stuff too at the same time, which is great. The X-ray tech was in there, and my husband was in there. And at one point, I was like, "Is it really broken?" And I don't know. I didn't know what the X-ray looked like yet. I had no idea what the X-ray looked like. So he goes, "Yeah, it's broken."
Like just
I'm not
flopping around.
He was like, I'm not supposed to say anything, but yeah, I'd say it's broken. So
Right.
now knowing what it looks like, I just have that mental image of like just a sad, pathetic, is it broken? And
Bless
that's what
you.
you see.
Well, bless you. But you're getting surgery next week, yes?
Yes, I have to get plates and screws in my wrist because and in the bone itself, because right now it's drifting. I got a new splint yesterday. My little thingy is a little bit big on me.
Right.
But I got a new splint yesterday, and they said the bone itself isn't like straight, like if it's not there, it's off center because it drifts, I guess. So he needs to put a screw in there to keep it there. And then they're not sure if my wrist is fully reconnected.
Right.
I can move my fingers.
I was gonna say that's usually a good sign if you can.
Yeah, it's a good sign. I did post a photo yesterday of my arm after they took, because when you go to the ER, they do the elbow splint.
Yeah.
So I couldn't sleep. I was sleeping with that for like 10 days. So I finally got one that just goes up half my arm or half my forearm. And when he took it off, I just was like, my arm is green because of all the bruising.
Right.
So my whole arm was just Shrek green.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The thing with
You
bruising.
are streaming though, right?
Huh?
You are streaming though, right?
Yeah, I've been streaming. I've been streaming with my left hand. I've been playing Darkest Dungeon 2. And
It's just I know some great one-handed games you can play.
Shut up.
Tweak a game.
Good response, Pulp. Good response.
Shut up.
We all
No,
knew
the
where
new
he was
fruit
going with that.
game.
The
You just need
dirty
a mouse.
trout.
So all you need is a mouse.
He's
I've
gonna
been playing
introduce
Darkest
cat
Dungeon.
girls.
You can play that with one hand.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. And I think we're going to do Baldur's Gate tonight
Right.
because you can play Baldur's Gate with one hand as well. I didn't even think about that until 2 days ago.
Yeah, makes sense.
So-
How are you finding Darkest Dungeon 2, by the way?
I like it. I'm having a lot of fun. I like the grave robber. That's my girl.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Grave Robber back in the day. There's
I
some
already maxed
pretty
her out.
funky mods that you can get as well. Did I ever tell you guys about when I tried to mod Darkest Dungeon 1?
No, tell me.
So I got like this anime girl mod, and it basically like they're all pretty well drawn, but basically it turns all the characters and NPCs into like anime girls and stuff like that. And it's on Steam, and I didn't look into like a lot of the details. And I was about to go live, and I start the game, and I do a little test to see that the mod's all working. And there's two settings to the mod. There's the not safe for work version, which I didn't know existed, which is on by default, and then there's the safe for work version. And the not safe for work version is like if they get hit, they'll suddenly turn around and just flash the poon, just for the sake of it. Like straight up, like just turn around like, look, there's my hoo-ha. And you're like, wait, what the fuck? And I was literally about to go streaming with this. So I was like, quick, let's look at the settings. And when you change the settings to the safe work version, it's a bit more comical. And there's like, one of the characters is like a bit of a leper, basically. And they get hit by a whip and they just do like the Ohagio face and stuff like that, which is quite funny.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I nearly went live on Twitch with just like, I don't know how to pronounce it, Ohagio or Ohagio, whatever. You know the face. I'm not going to do the face if that's what you're trying to bait me into doing.
I don't know how
Sounds like an anime thing. I have no idea.
The face where they stick the tongue out across their eyes and they're like having an orgasm, basically.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it was everywhere.
That's the face.
Everywhere on TikTok and
Netflix.
Instagram. I think like I've seen at least all my friends make that face.
Yeah, e-girls have definitely made a thing of it in
E-girls loved
particular.
it.
Yeah, all the
It's very unusual when someone under 18
Or in
did
the
it.
wrong ego.
yeah. That was a very much near TOS breaking experience for me, but thankfully I did
Oh my
test
God.
it just before going live. And
I played Wanking Simulator on stream, dude.
I
And
mean-
50% of my chat were Twitch staff waiting for me to make a wrong step.
fair. It does tickle me that some of the games you could probably actually get away with, or should be able to get away with, like genital jousting. It's like, should that be banned from Twitch? Do you reckon? Impromptu topic. Do you think genital jousting should be banned on
So
Twitch?
they did.
I don't even know
They
what
adjusted
genital
the
jab
rules,
is.
right?
Sorry, say again, Peachy.
Sorry.
They adjusted the rules. Like as long as you're not dwelling on it, or the game isn't focused on that kind of, 18 plus type stuff, it's fine.
So
like Conan's got big penises flapping everywhere, but if you're not zooming in and going penis,
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, okay,
so
it's fine.
they have adjusted how things like in art, for example, you couldn't draw boobies and stuff like that because they're, even if it was for educational purposes, like if you were doing still life or whatever. They have changed it so it's a bit more contextualized, but they also still have the banned game list, and genital jousting is on the banned game list. It's probably best you Google it rather than me describe it to you, Pulp, because anything I describe just won't be the same. But genital jousting is quite apt a name for what is actually involved. It's
not like realistic.
It's not realistic,
Genital
no,
either.
but it's definitely like the clue is in the wording. But it's one of those games that would probably do really, really well on Twitch due to the nature of the game. Like it's a bit of a party game.
I don't know. I'd buy this for a child.
Yeah, probably. Like, go for it. Just
I'm joking.
just do it. Just do it. But yeah, should we jump into the first?
I see that just like the meanest look. Like no.
No. Wrong. Bad mother. Should we jump into the first proper subject then?
Yeah.
Yes, the first proper subject, genital jousting.
Genital jousting.
Genital jousting.
Is it art?
It is.
I think so.
Before we continue, it is absolutely out. But yes, Bethesda have started replying to reviews on Steam. Have you guys heard about this yet?
I have not.
And
I'm a
I've
little
seen
bit
them.
behind this week, but no, I have not.
So basically, it's a lot of people have been coming at it from multiple angles. Some people just think it's really weird for any developer to respond to the reviews.
I agree.
It is something that's actually been done for quite a while, usually by indie devs though, and usually in a manner that is, oh, thanks for the feedback. We are actually working on this thing that you have complained about. So keep an eye out for future patches because you might change your mind because we fixed the thing that you're upset about. Bethesda have gone a completely different route and are basically trying to gaslight the people that they're essentially correcting in the reviews.
Girl bosses over at Bethesda.
So, like one example, someone complained about the load screens, and this was.
I had a feeling this is what this is about. Like, I did, honest to God, so sorry to cut you out. He didn't even have to like start telling me this before I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
They're doing it the wrong way.
They are. They're really doing it the wrong way. So, for example, someone was like, oh, why is there so many load screens? It's really immersion breaking, blah, blah, blah. And like part of the response from the Bethesda customer support team was, while there may be loading screens in between fast traveling, just consider the amount of data for the expansive gameplay that is procedurally generated to load flawlessly in under 3 seconds. We believe that shortcoming will not hinder our players from getting lost in the world we created. It's like, no, you're wrong, and this is why.
You're wrong.
Yeah. And
There's not a lot of load screens. Actually, we need them, and you're being a brat.
Right, and another one was people didn't like landing on the empty planets. They thought it was boring that so many of the planets were empty. So like,
This is the best reply.
yeah, so they're like, we are sorry that you do not like landing on different planets and are finding many of them empty. Some of Starfield's planets are meant to be empty by design, but that's not boring. When the astronauts went to the moon, there was nothing there. They certainly weren't bored. Yes, because they were on the fucking moon. Sorry.
Oh my god.
Some of
Yeah, did
Starfield's
you know
planets,
that
blah, blah,
when
blah.
Neil Armstrong went to the moon, there was nothing there?
Yeah, they weren't like, oh, it's, you know, there's not a lot to do here. Oh, they were probably like, fuck, we're the first people on the moon. This is immense. Whereas in a game where you go to an empty planet, you are just bored. And they're like, no, some of Starfield's planets are meant to be empty by design. They certainly weren't bored. The intention of Starfield's exploration is to evoke a feeling of smallness in players and make you feel overwhelmed. You can continue to explore and find worlds that do have resources you need or hidden outposts to look through. So again, it's like, no, you're wrong. Because Neil Armstrong wasn't bored on the moon, was he? And stuff like that.
Yeah, he put a flag down. Why don't you put a flag on, nerd?
Yeah, like that may as well be the response. It's like, did you try putting a flag down? You'd probably
oh my
have
god,
more
that's
fun.
so funny.
Yeah, like it's just
Like Bethesda
bizarre
being the
shit.
abusive boyfriend coming in, just like, no, babe, it's supposed to be empty. You
Like-
don't understand.
Some developers like even meme with it. Like one of the more
New
prominent
Blood.
ones. Yeah, New
What?
Blood.
Read New Blood.
Like Dave Oshry, is it Oshry or Oshry? He
Oshry,
once was asked like where the save data is in their games, and his response was, "It's stored in the balls."
Yeah.
That was his response. He was just like, "Yeah, in the balls.
Okay.
That's where
Okay.
we have our save data in the balls." And they just totally meme on it and take the piss and stuff like that. But then Bethesda are like, "No, we have to tell you why your review, which is your own like subjective experience, is incorrect, and tell you why you are wrong."
So, okay,
So
I'm on
Bethesda's
Bethesda's
doing the right
side
thing.
here.
Really?
I am literally on Bethesda's side here because they can't take away reviews. They can't do that. When they reply to a review, it doesn't remove that bad review that someone gives. It is every single one is addressing what is said in the review
Hmm.
and explaining their thought process of their art, regardless of whether the planets are empty because it's by design or because that would take thousands and thousands of man hour. That doesn't matter. They are addressing the thing that is being said and why they've done it. And I also think they're quite funny, especially the moon one. I was on the
moon one's my
floor.
favorite.
There is no way that is serious. That
Oh,
is
no.
a meme.
Nah. I don't
That
think
is a
I don't
meme.
think it's memeing because it's
Dude.
every single one is like that. Every
Dude, the
single
moon
one.
one's so fucking good.
How many
though.
community
That's so
managers do you
funny.
know? You're on Twitch. You probably know quite a few.
Yeah.
Memes where the adverts are at.
But this isn't a community manager. This is
What?
Bethesda's
It's
customer
not
support.
Todd fucking Howard.
No.
dude.
It's Bethesda's customer support. It's
How do
just
you know?
support
Maybe
people.
it is.
It could be Howard, but no, it's not. It's Bethesda's customer support. It's not community managers. It's literally people that have been told to like correct people.
So like I am always for the consumer.
Yeah.
But there's a limit. I think people are bitching and being little babies.
Oh, totally.
I actually think people are being little babies.
I hear what you're saying, but I
People
think the
will
main
find anything to complain about. to
And
be
there is
honest.
no way Neil
don't
Armstrong
think I
wasn't
should
bored is
complain.
not a meme. There is
No.
no fucking
I
way.
genuinely think this is serious.
I have
Because-
more faith in not much, but more faith in humanity than that. That is a joke.
Nah, I genuinely don't think it is a
Dumbo.
joke. Like, and I was as I was saying before, like it's not replying to reviews isn't unusual. It's actually a good idea, but again, it's in how you address it. Like, there's a difference. Going, we can see this is something you don't like. We'll take this feedback in mind. It's something we're working on in the future. Every single response, and I mean every single one, and there's been a lot, has literally been correcting the reviewer. It's not
I
been,
don't think it's
we're
been
working on this.
correcting them though. It's been explained. It's been addressing what they're saying about it.
Wait, wait.
Saying
I could
why
argue
it's
that
like
it's
that.
probably not correcting them, but they're wording it in a way that comes off a little bit like they're kind of like trying to redirect their thought process. So, like in the case with the loading screens, where it's like, well, you know, it's like, hey, why are there so many loading screen breaks my immersion? Well, it needs it. You know, like it's.
Like
You know,
it does need it though. That's
no, it
pretty
does.
big fucking.
It's kind of like pointing out the obvious, and in a way, like if like somebody was
but
saying
some idiots like, why are they loading screens in this giant game? Is that not obvious?
no,
Why?
I agree. People will complain about anything, and people will find a problem with anything. I'm a professional complainer. I can find anything to complain. I can find anything to complain about. But there's like, I mean, I can see why like okay. I don't remember too much about it. Like, I don't really think I was bothered that much by the loading screens personally, so I can't say it. Maybe they're, but I mean, if you are playing a game and if they were getting like one after another for a while, maybe they're playing on HDD. I don't know.
Some things to also
They
consider.
tell you not to do that though.
Like,
Huh?
obviously, I've yet to play Starfield. I will at some point. But if I was someone who was looking forward to the game that was marketed and expecting something similar to No Man's Sky and the like, where there are virtually no loading screens and arguably like the same scope, and then you get this experience, and then they go, "This is my experience. One of the reasons I don't like it is because my immersion's been broken by constant loading screens."
Right.
The response from Bethesda, in my opinion, should be, we recognize this is an issue that has been breaking people's immersion. It is something we're looking to optimize in the future and potentially remove in the future to provide people with a better experience. But that's not really what they're saying.
So lying?
They
You
just
prefer if they lied to you.
Well,
I mean,
no, because
I worked customer service for a long time, PG. Sometimes you gotta lie.
I mean that's
No,
only
seriously,
that's only
sometimes you
lying.
have to lie to make people feel better because, like, I mean, you obviously don't word it in absolutes. Like, we'll remove it, but like if you just say it if they phrase it in a way that it was an issue they were looking into, and to hopefully in the future potentially fix.
Yeah,
or,
like the words I
reduce.
used wasn't remove loading screens, to be clear. Like
Oh, yeah,
I literally said
I'm
improve it, which
looking to
every de-
improve. They're not looking to improve that.
yeah,
No,
but,
even
but
if-
that's the
even if you're
point. They
not-
should
Do you know how
be.
many times
If it's a
when I
barrier,
worked in retail?
I think what we're
Yeah, but they're not going to. So why say that if they're not going to? Steam is a public platform with reviews, and anyone can say whatever they want on any review and give whatever review they want.
Right.
Why can't, like, if this was an indie developer, you'd just be like, "But
well, no,
I don't think it's a problem. It's
again,
they have the right to say whatever they want."
They absolutely do.
Yeah,
And
but
it doesn't, to
it
me, it
still
doesn't
looks
feel
bad.
gaslighty.
Okay, sure, that's fair. But to a lot of people, it does. Hence, why it's in the news cycle.
I think the
I'm
reason why I
inclined to
feel
agree.
gaslighty is like what we were just saying, that hey, I don't like all the loading screens, or I don't like all the empty worlds.
Yeah.
And instead of like wording it in a way where it seems like you're actually looking to like appease the customer, because that's what customer service is service the customer. And
They lie to the customer.
Huh?
To make them feel better.
I think
Yeah, and you're trying to
that
make them feel better. So if you're going around, if you say, "Hey, I don't like this," and someone goes, "Well, actually, it's supposed to be like that," and that's just your problem. It's
Yeah.
like, well,
and I mean,
But that is
at the end of the
truthful.
day,
Gaslighting would be, no, it's not a problem. You're
it
inventing
is
it.
truthful,
Right?
but we have to look at it as like, it's Bethesda in America? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
they part of id, or do they own id? They own id, right?
they own.
I mean, there's so much
comes
like
under
the
ZeniMax, I
the
believe.
customer is always right over here. It's like nuts. The customer is always right, and like it's so much like bending over backwards to try to make people happy, and it's like, yeah, I would kind of respect it, be more like, it's supposed to be like that, you're just complaining, but
Yeah.
that's not gonna fly. People don't like to be told things like that. People like to be coddled.
And some other things to
Unfortunately.
consider is it's a business at the end of the day, and
It is a business.
on an
It is-
individual level, the customer is not always right. But on a
No, you're right.
wider scope, if you've got a large chunk of your audience, or your target market, complaining about a specific thing, surely you as a business person will go, perhaps I should improve that
Yeah.
so I can retain these customers or sell more products to them in the future. Whereas,
Do you know why I like these replies? I've just figured it out as you're explaining this.
go on.
It's because they're not bullshitting you for your money. They're not telling you everything you want to hear. They're like,
Yeah.
this is how the game is, and
But-
it's the least corporate thing. And I don't like corporate things, and they're not being corporate. And I've actually gained respect for Bethesda from this.
Fair enough. I mean,
Because it's the least corporate thing to do. Normally they go, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, DLC is coming soon, so we will absolutely fix everything. And it's lies. Like, companies will say that, and it's lies.
Yeah,
They're not
no,
gonna
it's
fix
lying.
anything.
It is lying.
And Bethesda isn't doing that. Bethesda's still
I think it's like
going
still.
corporate
I
piece
don't
of
like
shit,
how it's
but-
written in some ways. Like
Yeah,
I think okay. So like I said, I can respect what a company tells you. Like, hey, it's supposed to be like that. Sorry, man. Like we can't do anything about
Yeah,
it. We can
absolutely.
look into it. But it's the whole like, even though the moon one is the funniest one, it is very patronizing. It's
oh yeah, 100%.
like to say
That's
like,
why I think it's a meme.
Neil Armstrong wasn't.
I
was
sincerely
like,
believe you're giving
yeah,
it too
no
much
shit,
benefit of the
Sherlock.
doubt, Peachy. Like, I sincerely think
I
you're
think
giving
you
them too
might
much benefit of
just
the doubt.
be too
Like, it's
harsh on it.
like I love
that,
don't.
that phrase. That phrasing is so funny, but it's you don't see
It
that.
is really
don't
funny. They're
see
like
cringe.
Neil Armstrong. Neil
I
Armstrong,
honestly
he went
don't
to the
think it was a
actual
meme.
moon, bitch.
I could think. I actually don't think it was either. It was intended to be a meme and it comes off dickish, or maybe they are being dickish and people like maybe they caught him on a bad day and he was like they weren't bored.
Of all the ones they've done, I would say it's intention, because all of them have literally been like, no, you're just experiencing it wrong, or no, you haven't considered all of this stuff. No, it's
I would
because of
just-
X, Y, and Z. And it's like, it's all like that, basically.
I would just argue like it does. Some of the phrasing comes off a little bit patronizing,
Yes.
and that's what I don't like about it. I prefer if a company is just straight up like I do agree with Peachy in like them being upfront about it, saying like, hey, this is the way it is. I appreciate that from a
Mhm.
company, but I don't like the whole like this roundabout way of saying it, like, oh well, we have all these things, and let's just say it straight up, like it's supposed to be like that. We can't do
Yeah.
anything about it.
Yeah.
Like that's also just that's a personality trait of mine. I hate being talked down to, and it feels like they're talking down to the customer
Yeah.
instead of just telling them what exactly the problem or like addressing the problem in a way. They're doing it like they're talking to a child.
Right. No,
And
and you're
that's
not
what I
alone
don't
in
like
that
about it.
sentiment. Like that is quite a common sentiment that has been seen within the media. But yeah,
That's the way I look at it. Like it sounds like they're talking down to children.
especially when you take into consideration all the other like marketing snafus that Bethesda do, which is a lot and frequent, and they'll be like, oh, here's some subscription to fix the game that wasn't released fully like completed, or here's this bag you can get, and we showed you like this nice leather duffel bag or whatever it was supposed to be made
That
of, and
canvas bag was pretty nice. That's why I didn't believe a word about the merch they were doing for Starfield,
yeah,
because I'm like,
Mhm.
I remember the bag, dude.
yeah, the
I
bag
remember
was
that
like
fucking nasty helmet.
yeah, and stuff like that, and their response to it was like, that's just how it is now. We're like, yeah, we falsely advertised to
I
you,
don't know
but...
why I'm apparently defending Bethesda. They did, after a lot of pressure, replace the bags with decent bags.
Yeah, it took a lot of pressure though, because I think the initial
Yeah,
response was
it took a
like,
lot of
yeah, deal with it. Pretty
It
much.
was, yeah, it was a shitty first response. I just this particular thing, I think there are worse things that Bethesda do.
I don't
And
think it's
this
anything to
was
be
kind of a
upset
I
nice
agree
about.
with you on one part of that. Just like I said, the way it's worded, it comes off just really dickish to your customer.
Like it's
I
not
think
something
whoever
I'm
wrote
upset
it-
about.
Like I
I
said,
just think it's really
I
cringe.
could pick up when people are trying to talk down to someone, like their children, and that's the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah,
Is like
100%.
if I said to someone, no, I was like, hey man, like this area was like, I don't like how barren it was. There wasn't really much to do. It kind of sucks. It looked cool, but I didn't find enough to do. So it kind of felt like a waste of time. Well, when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, he wasn't bored. It's like, yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
not fucking Neil Armstrong, you asshole. I'm telling you that
There is no fucking way somebody wrote that straight.
They did. I
just hear
promise
that tone of
you.
voice. Well, Neil Armstrong wasn't
He
bored.
wasn't bored, but he was on the moon. Go kick rocks,
Yeah, when
kid.
he was on the moon, whiner.
He's not our reviewer's defense, Neil Armstrong had a fuck ton to do on the moon. They were there for like a couple of hours and they had so much to do.
I know.
Yeah, like I said, it's not something I would be
that's all I'm
upset
saying.
about.
It's like if you're trying to like say something like, "Hey, I really wish like as a customer," and like I don't know how I didn't see the screenshot that well. I can't see it from like my screen that well because it's zoomed out. If I if you just tell someone like, "Hey, man, if the customer approaches it saying I don't like how empty something is," and that's your response, it comes off like, "What the fuck?" Okay. And that's probably why people are upset, and I could see why that would upset someone because you're answering the question, but you're doing it in a really douchey way.
To be clear, I don't think a lot of people are upset. I know I'm not upset. I don't think people are upset. I think people are just
mostly a cringe.
Yeah,
the internet,
people just think it's really, really cringe because they haven't basically responded very well in the reviews. They haven't when this type of tactic is used. More often than not, it's to change a negative review into a positive one because algorithms and such. And that's why they say, "Oh, this is something we're working on." If it is something they're working on, and they generally try to please their audience by taking on feedback. Whereas this just reeks of, this is how we want our game to be. We've made all these design decisions because of X, Y, and Z. You've just got to deal with it. And you're wrong because you don't like it with these things in mind, which is just a really weird way to go at your audience. You know what I mean? There's recognizing why someone doesn't like a thing and then saying, "But we like it because of this other reason you may not have considered," rather than going, no, you're just not doing it right, kind of thing, or you're not considering that the moon exists and Neil was on it once. You know what I mean?
The funniest one, man.
Yeah, there was definitely some weird ones out there.
I'm all for piling on Bethesda.
I'm reading some of the other ones, and yeah, I mean, it's not the worst. It's also not the best response.
Yeah, for the most part, it's a case of people like, "Oh, look, Bethesda's Bethesdaing again," and they're doing weird shit.
There it is.
And they've got the customer service asking or answering reviews in the weirdest way. But yeah,
I got Bethesda. Right, your next apology tweet.
Bethesda, next time, just lie to people. Just lie.
Don't do it. Don't fucking lie.
Or just
I
don't
prefer this to the lies.
Well, they lie anyway. That's why I said it.
Their response to this is, you just tweet out, "We are sorry that people find that they have been condescended to," and in brackets just say, "That means talking down to people."
Yes.
And that's it.
And yeah, that's literally it. Then they just
wait. You have to work. You also have to include, "We're sorry you felt that way."
Yes. In the background,
I honestly don't think they're that gaslighty. I
no, but it is funny. It would be funny. "I'm sorry you felt like we were condescending you."
There's no load screens, you crazy bitch.
What load screens? Yeah, you didn't put load screens in there.
Oh God!
You even playing the right game? Next topic. I thought this was quite topical based on a lot of what we were saying with the nominees for the Game Awards. Obviously, Alan Wake 2 was a favorite.
I'm not surprised by this one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but it's nice to have actual data to back it up. So obviously, a lot of us were saying, "Oh yeah, runner-up would probably be Alan Wake 2 behind Baldur's Gate and things like that." It turns out Alan Wake 2, as critically successful as it's been, isn't that popular with the mainstream audience. And what I mean is they don't think of it negatively. They're just not buying it and playing it to begin with. So
then, I mean, I'm not surprised. Remedy games don't really sell. They don't do commercially well. They do critically well. People really like them, and I see more of an audience coming around, or more of a for Control, for example.
Yeah,
marketing was awful.
But now, I mean, the reason for PC is it's on fucking Epic exclusive. Of course we're not buying it, dude. Fuck off.
Two. I entirely forgot about that because I played it on PS5. That's why I bought it on PS5. Yeah.
We have Steam Store at Home. Steam Store at Home is Epic Games.
I know.
So
yeah, get it off Epic.
To add some context, this data on screen, sorry, audio only listeners, it's a chart done by Sakana, I believe, and they're basically the not a regulator, but someone who analyzes the data regularly for multiple industries, including gaming, other entertainment and such. And they ascertained that for October, Alan Wake 2, despite its critical success, didn't even make the top 150. And obviously, being data analysts, they have theories. One of the theories is that because it's exclusive on the Epic's Game Store, but also because you can't buy it physically. There are no.
You can't buy physical
console
copies?
players do like a physical copy, don't they?
They do.
Is that true? Hold on,
Yeah.
I want to check this out.
There's no physical copies of it, so they think that's
Really?
actually
That's
played
insane.
a huge part in it.
Just let me see.
Obviously, as we mentioned, it's also a survival horror, which is very niche
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things.
And don't forget, it's also a sequel. And if you haven't played the first game, most people might be less inclined to pick up the sequel.
Very true, very true. And looking at this list as well, some of the games that came out literally just a couple of days before it.
You're not lying. I just went on Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't buy it.
Yep,
I'll buy a physical copy.
they made a point of it, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to do physical." And for console, that is huge. That is pretty damn huge.
I have quite a few physical copies on console. Like I buy them specifically.
A trust thing or a collection thing for console players?
I think because like I always had physical copies growing up, that I kind of like having the tangible,
But like
version.
your Sony stores, your Xbox stores, your Nintendo stores do close down after a while.
I think it's
That too?
more of just a.
I also like in cases of like, I kind of like it if you're lending them now to a friend, like you want to show a friend something. Like I still like handing over the physical copy than like I'm giving them access to my Steam library. Jesus Christ.
So I think it's mostly due to one of two things. Speaking from, again, experience of having to deal with people on a technical level every day, some people just don't grasp or think about the fact that they can get a bigger hard drive for the console. It's not something they actively think about.
That's
so
true
they just
too.
go, oh, console space, physical means less data is being installed onto the console directly, things like that. Then there's the second-hand market, especially if we're thinking globally. A lot of people, depending in their what economic climate they've got for their country.
Yeah, we talked about this before about the I'm in full support of having a secondhand market. Sometimes you like, yeah, I don't know.
my
That's
physical switch
actually
games
I
are
didn't even think
secondhand.
about that until you just brought it up.
Yeah.
That actually is kind of disappointing that they choose not to go
Well, when it
physical,
comes
because that means
when it comes to other countries as well, something to consider is the games are often actually like crazy expensive. Like Argentina and I believe Brazil is about to go back to the US dollar, which means that a game can be like, this is actually an issue that's happening on Steam at the moment because of some Steam rules that have changed. A lot of people have had their games converted to US dollar, and it hasn't taken into account like the cost of living. So like one game for someone in Argentina ends up being like 25% of their monthly income.
holy shit.
Just for the one game, because it hasn't accounted for the cost of living and stuff like that. So you got things like that to consider as well, which is huge for the secondhand market, and also why the pirating market is so big. So you can probably expect a lot of pirating in Argentina and Brazil in the next few months. But so yeah, I think it's partially because of that as well.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yes, but yeah, console players, obviously it's your dad gamers, it's your people that are not
Grandma buying it for the kid, your grandkids. So they like you got that.
Yeah, they haven't necessarily got like a huge hard drive, so they just stick with like going to the shop. They probably don't shop online a lot in comparison to chronically online folks like ourselves.
It's
things
a little
like that.
safer for kids too when you think about it, like not having them have access to your credit card on the PSN. So you just buy them the physical copy and they'll not give them online access, because I wouldn't put a kid online.
There's also the 30% tax if you're buying it on PSN. So PlayStation charge the developer 30%. Yeah,
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ! Is that why Nintendo games are so expensive online?
Hey, wait, I have a question.
Not sure about Nintendo. Yeah.
Personal theory. Do you think because of the way of like how, because remember I said that we were saying that Control and Alan Wake 2 didn't really initially sell that well. Do you think it's like some saltiness from that? Like,
I think Control, the PC, when it came to Steam, sold really
No,
well.
I meant like physical copies. The physical
Oh, right.
Because I remember I remember buying Alan Wake when I was younger, and I don't remember where my copy went. But like anytime you would go to like a GameStop or something, it was always pretty cheap secondhand. I think a lot of people just didn't like it. because it's not really. It is a horror game.
Nintendo games aren't cheap secondhand. They hold their value ridiculously well.
Nintendo when it's published by Nintendo. Yeah.
Or whenever I'm on CEX looking for Switch games, like, yeah, there is a discount, but it's not much.
Oh no, Nintendo games rarely go on discount. When I used to work at a GameStop, Nintendo games that were published by Nintendo themselves, they very rarely were like the prices never really went down that much. It was always third party. Unless that's changed, I don't know, but it sounds like it hasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am wondering though, if this wasn't an Epic exclusive, would we be having this conversation?
I really do think it's the Epic thing.
I think we'd still be having this conversation. Words are hard. Conversation. I don't think it would be as bad, obviously. I think it would be probably in maybe the top 100 or top 50.
I definitely would have bought it
on
if it was
Steam.
on Steam.
Which is odd because all the other Remedy games are on Steam. That's what was so unusual about it. Because when I remember, it was like a week before Alan Wake was coming out, because it was Alan Wake came out like the day before my wedding, so I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to play it anyway right away, so I was gonna wait. But I remember like we talked about it on one of the episodes, and it like reminded me like, oh shit, I forgot Alan Wake's coming out this year. So I went to look it up on Steam first instinctively, and it wasn't there. So I was like, where the hell is it? So when I went on Google, and it turned out to be on the Epic Game Store, and it was surprisingly, it was actually cheaper on the Epic Game Store in comparison to PlayStation, and I still opted for the PS5. One partly because I wasn't sure like about my my hardware, like I just want to be safe, because like especially with Remedy games, they have so much going on with so many particle effects and shit. But also, I loathe the Epic Game Store that much that I would rather buy on console.
Yeah, I don't think we're alone in not liking the Epic Game Store. I mean, we last podcast, like, people do not like that store.
Yeah,
I don't mind shitting on it.
I think it's a case of a perfect storm of many things. One, it's on the Epic Game Store, which means only one source you can get it on PC. No physical copies, which means PlayStation, which means you're always paying the full price. There's no discounted price or anything like that. You can't get it on discount somewhere at your favorite store. You can't get it from a friend and borrow it, things like that. And then it's also very, very niche. I mean, if we look at this list in front of us now,
it is niche.
The vast majority of the games there are all like mainstream games, or what we would refer to as mainstream games. So esports FC, formerly known as FIFA, that's like in 5th place. You've got Madden, another sports game. You got Assassin's Creed Mirage, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Marvel's Spider-Man, comic book hero adventure, released 5 days beforehand and was the best-selling game that month, kind of thing.
Well,
even Minecraft.
This time around even though the marketing this time around, like it's Remedy they never really did commercially well. Like you can argue, like I think Control's one of my favorite games, but there's still a lot of people that have never even heard of it.
I did feel like I stumbled upon a hidden game when I found Control. It is literally top 5 game for me.
I was before the podcast. I was talking with my husband. I was like, the way I learned about it was someone recognized. I was talking to a friend of mine. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because of PG.
Sorry, it was you. I'm sorry.
And, so I was talking to a friend of mine about like looking for a new game, and they recommended Control to me and said, oh, it had just come out like a month prior. And it's like, oh yeah, it's made by the same people who did Alan Wake. I was really? They did another game? It was like completely off the radar. So with this, and not only that, like I said, Alan Wake, like I know a lot of people really liked it. I still feel that's kind of niche as well.
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
When you go and adding on the fact that it's a sequel, that's kind of like what also probably worked against it too. Because if you have
there's a lot of barriers of entry to Alan Wake too.
Yeah, because they reference Control.
You can't get physical. It's only on Epic.
They really put a lot of obstacles in front of this game for him to I don't know what some of like the behind the scenes reasoning for those decisions, but as a consumer looking at it, you made this game really difficult for people to actually like
100%.
Try to enjoy. Like I went and I thankfully had a PS5 and I was able to play it, but if I didn't have a PS5, I wouldn't buy it on Epic Game Store. I would have waited, just like you guys. because I cannot stand it. And then on top, now knowing that there's no physical, if there was somebody who is a fan, or maybe who might have accidentally stumbled on it at like, I don't know, like a Wally World, like you're not going to be able to do that because you have to buy a physical or digital. That's a weird. That's why I was asking, like, do you think like because their older games didn't do that well, like there was like, was that like some sort of deterrent of having their game being like sold secondhand too much? Because I'm pretty sure like a lot of the fan base, like the cult following behind like Control and Alan Wake, probably some of them a lot of them bought it secondhand, maybe at GameStop, like, oh, this game is only $15.
I suspect it's just short-sightedness from the publisher.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do think we are
Or a surprise.
heading towards a world where physical is going to be somewhat redundant. We already saw that Xbox intend to make a hybrid console and eventually probably just cloud only kind of thing. Digital storefronts, Game Pass, etc. They're all becoming the forefront of the gaming space kind of thing. So I do think that is a world we're heading towards. And I think some like suit at 505, is it, who publishes Remedy games? I can't remember. I suspect they were just like, well, there's not that much money in physical anymore, and it's like, wait, no, you're on console. There's still that money. You're jumping the gun, mate, kind of thing.
If it's ever on, until they make it PC exclusive, you need to be making physical copies, like 110%. And if you're going to be doing, if it's going to have a PC release, that's why I'm saying I don't know. I would like to know some of the ins and outs behind the scenes on that decision to only release it on the Epic Game Store. Well, I know because Epic had a hand in it, but you know, how that decision came to be, because like that was so detrimental to the sales of the game. Because I know we're not the only ones who do not like the Epic Game Store, and I'd rather pull my own teeth out than use that on my own, like over Steam. So like that, they really shot themselves in the foot on this one.
A follow-up discussion point then is, obviously I've mentioned that it's done very well, very well critically. Like you've played it,
I loved it.
Watched it, you know, we've seen the reviews, it's all speaking of it very, very highly. And then the Game Awards are going to happen, where 90% of the vote is dictated by reviewers, people who have played the game more than likely. And then 10% is the audience vote, who probably haven't played it and are going to be like, what the fuck is Alan Wake 2? kind of thing. So do you reckon this is going to spawn off a lot of discourse if Alan Wake 2 wins anything?
If Alan Wake 2 wins, the votes I placed for Alan Wake 2 were legitimate. Like I felt really strongly about how well it did on a technical level, you know, and so on. So I forgot what else I voted it for it. But if it does win, and it because of the audience vote, and you're right, a lot of people not knowing, I would be surprised if it won anything because of that, especially when you have it against things like Spider-Man, because a lot of those categories, Spider-Man was there.
Yeah, I do. So I do think Alan Wake will win 1 or 2 because it's 90% of the critics. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the audience reacts to it.
I would imagine some people might be pissed.
And they'll be like, oh, Keeley set us up, despite the fact he has no involvement in the voting whatsoever. But
I am being told that there's still a lot of places in America that have data caps on their internet, on their downloads.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
That's really going to affect, you know, a game that's that easily got to be 50 gig, right?
I have fiber. I used to, before Kevin moved in, they didn't have fiber like for a long time in my area, so I had to have just the high-speed internet, and they would cap me constantly. It was a nightmare. I actually, it was affecting my streams a lot. There was a few times where my stream would just get like completely destroyed, the connection, and it was because of the internet. And it would be like maybe somebody in the other room was playing Netflix. That little would have affected my entire experience.
You would be actively throttled for your speed.
Yes.
Horrific.
I was getting throttled constantly. In America, it's really shitty.
Yeah, the infrastructure as a whole isn't that great. Like, you know how over here in the UK we're getting gigabit internet relatively easily now. It's something that you can really struggle to get in the US. Like, there's maybe Google Fiber in a couple of cities. And then that's
you also have to think about there's a lot of rural areas too. Like if you're living in a more urban area, then yeah, you're fine. You're going to be able to find higher speed internet. I'm pretty sure there's going to be throttling. There's a lot. There's also like with the internet companies too. They are constantly trying to like
weird.
They're
trying to monopolize the areas.
Yeah.
So you have like
There's no
literally
competition.
So where I live, I believe we only have Spectrum and AT&T. I think those are the only two options I have in my immediate area.
So not Comcast.
No, there's no Comcast
To be
here.
fair, they're all as bad as each other in the States from what I've heard.
If there's no competition, there's no reason to be better.
Areas, but we're talking like areas like they might not have any other option. They'll just have like it's just Spectrum. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's very common to only have one provider.
Yeah, it's really difficult, and it's unfortunate for a lot of like US players, because like if you live in a rural area, you don't have much going on, so of course you're gonna be gaming. Well, fuck, you can't play like anything at high speed.
If you're using Starlink, you're not going to be playing like online multiplayer stuff. Because the ping on Starlink is really bad. Like the speeds for how much data you can get is good, but the ping is bad.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I don't know much about Starlink.
I don't, because I don't have it.
Space internet, basically. So
SpaceNet.
There's a lot of travel time, basically. So you can get fast speeds, but how fast those speeds get to you in a weird way.
They're like they're living in a van.
I don't know.
That's what they use. That's the only time I've heard about it was because he watches a lot of van life shit.
Right.
I guess that they use Starlink for that. So that's
I don't know how real these numbers are. Ping 500 milliseconds.
I mean, it does depend on where you are. Like, there's a lot of things that come into it, like weather and stuff like that can affect as well. You're back. Don't worry, you disappeared briefly.
Hi.
He's back. But yeah, there's a lot of factors that can change it. You can, in perfect conditions, get it probably down to like 25 ms, but it's not ideal, and it's going to be few and far between that you can get it like that. But yeah, but at the end of the day, it's satellite. Like, you can get Wi-Fi on a plane. Be happy, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
There's going to be some kinks to work out, but it'll get there eventually. But before we get to break, was there any small topics any of you wanted to bring up, or anything that I've missed that isn't in the agenda?
Let me just see how much.
I'm not going to have anything today. Kind of was a little bit preoccupied.
Yeah, no worries.
This isn't really news, but I kind of really want to get into Teeny Weeny Space Marine Legions Imperialis.
That's such an amazing name.
It's not called that, unfortunately. It's called Legions Imperialis, and they're like this big minis.
Right,
they're teeny weeny Space Marines, and I'll never play it. They're this small; it's gonna be hard to paint. But man, teeny little space, but they're like this big. Sorry, I don't really have any.
Fair enough. No, that's fair enough. I look forward to seeing you post some pictures of painted teeny meenies.
I want to see the teeny weeny Space Marines.
Yeah.
The name is excellent.
I'm looking forward to it. But in the meantime, shall we take a quick break?
Yeah.
Cool. I can't words for the life of me today.
English?
We will be
Hard.
back. I just can't. I have forgotten how to English. But yes, we'll be back in around 5 to 10 minutes. Go get yourselves a drink, a snack, stretch your legs, and we'll be back to continue talking about games and other such things. See you shortly. And Mike's will be.
Don't put story in video games, and people would have enjoyed their time with Andromeda.
And welcome back to part 2 of the Fully Rendered podcast. It's myself,
Is that
Brian the
going to
Pirate,
be in the edit?
Pulp Fictionally,
really
and
hope
the
so.
Contrarian.
Fuck off! I'm not a contrarian.
Very much a
That's not a
contrarian.
sheep.
Oh,
Wake
no.
up, sheeple.
Sheeple, he said it. He's done it.
It's true.
He's joined
Wake
the
up,
dark
sheeple.
side. But welcome
Look
back,
at Peachy's
everyone.
way of thinking it's the only right way.
I mean,
Yes,
red
yes.
pilled or blue pilled. I can't remember which one they say.
It's red pilled.
Okay. Red pilled.
Which is weird,
Don't say that.
Flat Earth.
because obviously
Oh,
in the
flat
UK, it's the other way around, technically. Because
Oh, is it?
red is the left, well, the left party, which is Labour. And then the Conservative
the
Party
Labour Party
is blue.
The socialist ones.
Yeah. Admittedly, Labour is more left than the Democratic left in the States, but that's a whole other conversation. Welcome back, everyone, to the new political podcast, Fully Rendered.
Okay, geek culture, everyone.
So there are some Path of Exile announcements that I wanted to go over because I really like Path of Exile and they were sick announcements, but I think we'll leave that towards the end of the show. Did you guys hear about Destiny 2 upsetting people even more?
Yes, I've very much been hearing about this. The $15 new pack.
Yeah, so
That costs more than the season pass itself.
yeah, it's a really weird one. They have actually taken it down due to feedback, but to
they took it down.
yeah, so to bring folks up to date, obviously Destiny 2 had a very lackluster expansion this year. They then did like a state of play style thing that was not received very well, to the point where like one of the directors did like a 17-minute video apology for it, basically saying like, sorry, we've made so many stupid decisions. Then of course they laid off like a huge amount of their community, and basically the state of Destiny is not very popular compared to maybe when Sony bought them originally, for example. So then they've just recently announced this, what people have been calling a noob trap, where it's a starter pack, or it's supposed to be a bundle for new players to help them get into the game a bit easier. And it's $15, and people who are obviously familiar with the game are like, all the items that you're giving people don't relate to the meta at all. So people are going to be using objectively worse weapons than everyone else if they like buy this pack. And all the resources that they offer in the pack, you can get in-game for free within 2 hours. So they're like basically saying, these people don't know how to play the game, so they're going to waste money on it. Let's get free money. And of course,
Yeah, basically.
In those 2 hours, even if you bought the pack, do you still get those resources and stuff?
so the resources
like,
can be farmed in-game.
To my understanding,
Right.
understanding, P2 is the items they're giving them are something they're just going to replace in like almost no time at all.
Yeah, it's basically not worth $15 because in the 2 hours that you'd just be playing the game, you would acquire those same materials anyway.
Exactly. Better gear, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And not only that, it costs more than the actual season pass itself, which is a problem.
Mhm.
So you're going in and you're going like, yeah, we'll buy the season pass, woo, and then you're buying $15 more or paying $15 for garbage.
So it makes you wonder what's going on at Bungie.
I have no idea.
And does it
dude.
make you think and second guess things like, for example, when they reviewed the multiplayer for The Last of Us, the multiplayer game, and they reviewed it on behalf of Sony and said, no, it's dog shit. Were they wrong? If they're making all these other poor decisions, both in terms of development as well as in terms of like the marketing side of things?
Wait, Bungie was responsible for The Last of Us multiplayer. Is that true?
No. So Bungie were asked to review it internally
to review it
as part of a Sony-owned
Oh.
property. So they were like, you've made a multiplayer first-person shooter and you're really good at it. Can you go and have a word with Naughty Dog and, you know, internally review their game? Is your camera been on all
Are
day?
you okay?
I think it's his camera's probably just overheating a wee bit if it's been on all day.
I do like your t-shirt, Peachy.
So
Spaceballs the t-shirt.
Bungie, it is a good t-shirt. Bungie went over
It's a
to Naughty
great
Dog to
t-shirt.
look at their game, and then it just
Right,
didn't
okay.
do very well at all, or it wasn't reviewed well internally at all, and that's why it's been delayed until God knows when.
Mm-hmm.
But now all of these really poor decisions, and again in terms of development, in terms of like the expansion, the roadmap, the plans for the future, things like that, they've all been torn apart by the community, and they've just sacked off half their community support and things like that. What do we think is wrong with Bungie? What do we think's happened since they've been bought out, especially?
So I know exactly what this is, and remember, I've never been wrong in my life.
Yes.
So Bungie are working on Marathon, right?
Which has been delayed.
Yes, it's been delayed. The reason that Marathon has been delayed is because they were planning for this live service.
Mhm.
And in the last half a year, maybe a year, live services are going through a fundamental change because the audience is like, fuck off with this shit.
Mm.
They've had to retool that.
It's
And
funny
now-
though, because until about 6 months ago, Sony were like, oh, we've got 12 live service games in the works. And Jim Ryan was heavily pushing it.
Yeah.
And now they're all being delayed because people are like,
but the
"Oh."
audience is like, no, this is fucking bullshit. And their suits going, oh, yeah, money here, money there. Just fucking push it everywhere. I think Marathon is being fundamentally changed because they want to build their live service from the ground up. That's what GTA 6 will be when we get to that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But those practices are now not just passe, they are actively hated by players. So Bungie now needs to make up their quarterlies or whatever, and bad suit decisions that can still maybe slide through despite people pushing back are going into Destiny while they try and make this better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I've never been wrong in my life, and that is definitely what's happened. That's what I think is going on. Too many things have
Probably
lined
right.
up with the delays and
You are a
the
contrarian,
pushback.
though. So sometimes
I've never once been a contrarian, and
No.
anyone who says so is a contrarian.
Never been a contrarian.
never once has Peachy ever been a contrarian.
Yeah, I do partially
He's one of us.
agree, because obviously there has been this noticeable shift. Like I said, Jim Ryan was very on board with like games as a service. Sony, I think it was maybe even as recent as last E3 or some of this Games Fest, whatever, we're just like, yeah, 12 live service games, all the live service games, come get your live service games kind of thing. And in the last, especially the last month or so, where so many live service games have been shit canned, I definitely think there is the case of they've got all this precedent of all these games being shit canned, but I don't think they're necessarily considering why they're getting shit canned. Because a lot of these live service games that are getting shit canned are first time attempts at live service games by those studios. And the development cycle for a live service game is essentially, not to sound reductive and potentially melodramatic, but it's essentially permanent crunch. You do not stop developing. Fortnite,
Yeah.
Apex, regardless of how big or expansive or how small your game is or how much content you put out every so many months, GGG, Grinding Gear Games for Path of Exile, they come out with like new mechanics, new skills, new whatever every 3 months. Diablo 4 are having to do that, and this is the first time they're doing it properly.
Right.
And they've come across, they're like, oh shit, our first season wasn't received well because there was fuck all in it, and now they've had to like pretty much double the amount of content they're putting out to keep people appeased. So I think it's a wake-up call for a lot of studios that are trying it for the first time, and then obviously that's not necessarily translating to the publishers, the people who own the properties, who are going, oh, live service just isn't doing very well anymore. And it's like, well, no, the live services that are done well are doing amazing, but the formula hasn't been worked out by these people who are doing it for the first time. And I think that's scaring off the likes of Sony. They're like, oh, have we put all our eggs in one basket? Should we properly step back and observe from a distance, delay things, maybe put our hand in? Because obviously, like, for example, Microsoft, they tend to support their studios rather than going, oh, just do what the fuck you want and see what happens. There could be a bunch of changes in decision there that could potentially lead to really good live service games, but just not coming out as quickly as they initially hoped. But when it comes to Bungie in particular, bringing back around to the initial topic, they seem to have swan dived. Like, they were the de facto live service. Like, if people wanted to provide an example of a good live service game, Destiny was more often than not the most commonly suggested. Now it's being laughed at. And people are like, oh, what's a good live service game? And they go, Destiny 2, best community support. Why is it nominated for that? You know what I mean? Things like that. So I'm just wondering, I feel like there's something a bit more deterministic that's occurred in Bungie. Like, did some new heads get brought in onto the board, or
I would argue it's probably more higher, like upper management. Like somebody's been brought in, and they're acting.
They care about Destiny anymore.
I don't think they care about Destiny anymore either. I'm pretty sure they're like pretty Destinied out over there.
I mean, potentially, but at the same time, it was a lot of money. I assume we're speaking of Sony not caring about Destiny anymore, or are we talking about players?
No,
right.
Basically, if this is true, and it stacks up that they've brought in new people to monetize Destiny and bring it back. I don't think the developers care about pushing it forward because they want marathon. They want marathon. Like Destiny, Bungie, they're there now because they didn't want to make any more fucking Halo games. They want to go on to the next thing. They don't care about making Destiny push through as a game that will be there forever. They just want can we get a bit more cash from this because this is going to take a while? Or the suits have been like, oh, this isn't adding up. We need to make money here. Here's some ridiculous, because suits make terrible choices. They don't play video games and they only think about the short term. Right? They hire on at the start of a quarter, they hire on like hundreds of people and start crunching away. And then the end of the next financial year, they'll fire all these people so their numbers look better. They only care about the short term. And I think whoever is now put in is just on the Destiny side. You know, you do whatever you want here. This is dying anyway. We don't really care about it. We're not going to work on it anymore. We're doing this thing, but we need more time.
Right.
I think it's just don't care. Make a couple of bucks here.
It will be interesting to see what happens.
It definitely it feels like a cash grab, like with this kind of decision. Like it wasn't. There was no forethought in the like. I don't even think they cared. Like if they got backlash. To be honest, like that's how poor of a decision this is. Like just fucking. Like some people are gonna be stupid enough, and then we'll just issue an apology later.
Right.
It's dying anyway. There's no eggs in this basket anymore. Do what the fuck you want.
So make as much money as you can now.
Short term.
Because aren't they releasing the last expansion soon? And then that's it.
It's the last of the current story. So when I think it was when they released Destiny 2, they were like, we've got a 10-year roadmap. So they had this massive roadmap. They had this massive story planned. And this particular arc is known as the shape arc, or the next expansion is the final shape. So every so many expansions, there's been some form of shape reference, like the Traveler is the big circular globe, for example, and there was like another shape, and fuck knows what the final shape is. Like there's triangles, there's whatever, like it represents some kind of object in the game. And they have said that there's going to be like a new arc and a new story kind of thing. But if we take, say, for example, World of Warcraft or even Final Fantasy 14, they are both games that have had to transition from one massive story arc to another. So in the case of WoW, Wrath of the Lich King was the end of a story that was started arguably in Warcraft 2. You know what I mean? So a lot of people fell off from then, myself included. I believe Peachy, you were likewise someone who played Wrath of the Lich King. You're like, cool, we know what happened to Arthas, sick. Cataclysm, fuck you, guy, kind of thing, and walked up and played another game. And then similar is happening with Final Fantasy 14. You got Endwalker, the next expansion, Dawn something or other. Like most people are joking is like the filler arc kind of thing, like in an anime where it's just like, oh, it's the bikini and beach and swimwear episode kind of thing. You know, people are referring to it as that because there's now going to be this new stepping off point for this entirely new like arc or story to be followed across multiple expansions. So I wonder if something similar is going to happen with Destiny 2, where they go, oh, cool, final shape. Here's like the last decade and so long as many games as expansions that we've played all revolving around this particular story. That's me done. I don't need another story, thanks. And then they peace out. Do we think there could be a large exodus of players, or more accurately, a second exodus of players?
Yeah, they must be hemorrhaging players. Like, and if you are pushing an arc that's been going for however long, you're not interesting new players to go, oh, I'll try that out when this arc has been going on like 10 bloody years or something.
And the new player experience is fucking horrible in Destiny.
It is. Well. When it went to free to play, first of all, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go because people were liking it. I'm like, what?
It's very difficult to get into, like as a new player. They really make it difficult for new players.
I've played Warframe, and Destiny's new player introduction was worse. And Warframe is not good.
It took me a very long. So I have Destiny, and I've installed it and uninstalled it multiple times. Like I've, had multiple different people ask me to play it. Like I played it on stream a couple times, and it's such a difficult slog to get through. Like to even because it does. Like I feel so far behind anyway. So every time I try to give it another chance, I just kind of go throw my hands up at one point. We'll throw my hand up at one point to go like, oh, well, this was kind of fun, but I mean, to be fair, I will say, to be fair, in my case, I'm not really big on games like Destiny or like Final Fantasy 14 live services. Right. I get bored easily.
That's fair. That's fair.
But like, I would, but I think Destiny is the one I've given the most chances to because I want to like it. I see people have fun with it all the time or talk to me about it all the time. We'll go and get food with a friend of ours, and him and my friend will like be talking for hours about Destiny. And I'm like, man, I want to get back into this. Like I want to be a part of the cool club, but every single time it's just such a slog to try to get into, and that's just because I'm a new player.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like the gameplay in Destiny 2 is fantastic. It is arguably one of the best FPS games when it comes to the shooting.
It's a lot of fun when I played it.
But the problem is, if you're a new player, it goes, here's the starting area. Pick a quest. Any quest will do. There's plenty of quests for you to pick. Here's a billion things all happening at the same time that are all individual storylines or quest lines, etc. Have fun. And then you go, okay, I've just got 30 quests in my quest log. Which one should I do first? I don't fucking know. Should I go talk to the scary witch lady? I don't know.
It's easier to have someone else join a new player, but at the same time, like you run the risk, and this is, like personal gripe, like somebody carrying you through the whole thing. And it's like at that point, you're not really experiencing the game at that point.
Yeah.
It's such.
Is it Final Fantasy on the online one? Which number?
14.
It scales. So you're doing the same amount of damage as someone else. It's just the numbers are bigger for your point of view. That's really cool because you can run through with someone and you're both having impact. You both have agency.
Yeah. I don't think Destiny has that. And that's kind of like, it sucks because it's like, you want to play with other people too. And it's like, but if you're playing with someone who's been playing for so long, and they have all the way better equipment than you, it's like, well, I'm not really fucking doing anything at this point. And
it's like you just one shot everything. I've learned nothing from this experience, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's actually how I had the same experience with Monster Hunter World. It took me, the first time I played it, this was years and years ago. I played it on stream, and I was playing with two people who were way further ahead of me and like had been playing the game for like since launch. And I was dying constantly and just getting, I wasn't learning anything from it. I think like a couple times they'd kill whatever the monster was, and I'd be like far across the fucking map because I died. And it's like, you're not learning anything. The same thing with Destiny. It's like it kills the fun because you're like, well, if this is how the game is, then I don't really have any need to play this.
Yeah, especially when it's a game where you've got abilities and stuff, and it's like, well, when do I use the abilities? Everything's dead.
Yeah, and you can't inundate someone with like 30 quests and all these different plot lines, which is great but like if you when I play anything like, we were just talking about Starfield, it's like when I play a game and like all of a sudden you get all these quests that are just like loading up and you're like, where do I start? Which is the right one to do first? What's gonna like, what is actually gonna give me information on the story? What's going to spoil something from another quest line? And that's what Destiny does.
Hopefully when they do end the final shape and whatever the follow-up expansion is to that, that's when they take the opportunity to go, okay, it's a new storyline, so you don't need to know all the backlog of shit beforehand. So new players, it's best point to join in now. And how we've made it easier, because then they can be like, you don't have to complete the billions of quests to get to this point, because there's no quest. It's all new and shiny and new storyline.
Destiny wasn't made for this free-to-play live service model that they currently have. That's what Marathon is going to be like. They want a fresh start. I think Destiny has been dying for a while. They don't care about the current player experience, and therefore you're not going to get new players coming in because there's no old players going, oh yeah, come play. And it's fun to start again. So I'll start, like in Darktide, it's fun to start a new, which I've been playing recently. It's fun to just start a new character and go through and do your stuff. Like it's fun to do that from the start, and there's not this crippling choice of what do I do, because you just jump into a map, you shoot things, you go to the next one.
This is interesting. I was just reading my chat. In the recent season in Destiny, they added a new mission where there's revive tokens. Okay, that's fine. Problem is, if you join a group in the middle of it, you're already dead and have to be revived and lose a token. If someone leaves, you lose a token. What the fuck is going? Yeah, this is nutso, dude.
Yeah,
they're moving on. This game is
going into Destiny as a new, like when I check it out. And like I said, it's always when like I'm around people, they're talking about it and like really positive way and how much fun it is, and they want to get together, and I'm like, dude, I want to be a part of this. It sounds fun. It's such a pretty game, and it plays so well, and it just sucks how like, God, it feels like like a lot of things feel like an afterthought. You know, like it's disappointing.
It's kind of Frankenstein together in a lot of ways, which is a shame because, like I said, the gameplay is actually
and I think
genuinely
PT might be onto something that it's just not. This isn't a game that was made to be like free to play live service. Oh, live service, fine, but the free to play aspect, because when you have that, it's like you're gonna have obviously a flood of people coming in, and it's like, well, we have all this stuff, have fun. And
I think Bungie are bored. I think
I agree.
I'm exists because they were bored of Halo.
I think they're bored of Destiny.
Yeah, quite possibly.
And it's very like, how long has Destiny been around now?
Quite a while. Destiny 2, like I said, is about 10 years now, around about. Yeah. And then you had obviously Destiny 1 before that. And then they have like plans for the next arc, but who knows? It's definitely a very bizarre thing that's unfortunately happened to the Bungie devs. Should we move on? Next topic.
Ooh, Destiny.
Just a quick one. Rollerdrome, which I really recommend, by the way.
I saw this. Have you guys played Rollerdrome?
I dabbled in it. Like I didn't.
It's hard.
Yes, it is hard, but it's fucking fun. So for those,
it's fun as hell.
For those not familiar, Rollerdrome is like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with guns. Basically, like you skate around and you get to shoot the shit, and it's got a really quirky art style. That's on Game Pass. Highly recommend. Remnant and Remnant 2 are coming to Game Pass when it like switches over, or if it hasn't already.
Yeah, Remnant and Remnant 2, I saw that. Remnant 2, I got into. I didn't play Remnant 1. I liked it.
Yeah, I'll be checking out Remnant 2 probably over Christmas. There's a lot of games I'm going to get caught on. I suspect I will.
I don't think anyone should pick up Game Pass to play it.
And the next subject, anyway.
Anyway, change subject from PG.
Have you guys seen because it literally released as I was writing the agenda. Have you seen the trailer for the Fallout?
My boss actually just sent it to me. I haven't gotten a chance to look at it.
Right.
But I literally literally 10 at 11 o'clock, my boss sent me.
I assume this new GTA has
sorry, not GTA,
because
Fallout. We're talking about Fallout.
Fallout.
Oh, Fallout. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I got so confused. I was like, oh my god, did I say something wrong?
No.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer yet. Does it look good?
Well, I can play it. I won't play it with sound.
Yeah.
But I think it I made a tweet about it shortly after watching the trailer. I am not a huge fan of the Fallout games. I think the whole post-apocalyptic thing is kind of overdone in games. I don't like how Bethesda do their UIs more often than not. I enjoyed Oblivion, and I played a bit of Skyrim and kind of fell off. But the Fallout games in particular, it just didn't vibe with me. But the universe in a TV format, in a serial format, does appeal to me, and I've watched this trailer. Well,
they also have the director for Westworld, right?
Yeah, there's actually quite some like big names. Like there's some guys from The Boys involved and stuff like that. So there's some pretty like.
I've been watching the show called the Gemstones? Is it the Royal Gemstones? The Righteous Gemstones. And there's a actor that was in that, and named Baby Billy. My boss just goes, "Baby Billy's in it," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" So it looks kind of. I haven't seen anything, but I'm just like kind of glancing over.
Like it looks good.
Again.
If I'm being entirely honest,
the people behind 2-day free shipping.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
It's fucking banging, dude.
But it actually genuinely looks good. Like the Brotherhood of Steel
There's
armor
a lot
kind of stuff.
you can do with it. I really think Bethesda games, like like Skyrim or not Skyrim, sorry, Fallout in particular. There's a lot you can do with it because it gives you so much creative freedom, so much there's so much in the games, like what the side quests and all that you can kind of pick and choose, and there's no real. I mean, there's a story, but there's not like a lot. I don't think a lot of people maybe me. I'm the dumb one who doesn't really pay attention to the stories in Bethesda games. Just run off.
I like the story in Bethesda games because they rely a lot on world building, and the main story arc is just whatever. So they just sort of tell it to you. But the interesting stuff about the story is the world building and all the little side stories. For me, I actually like the way that's delivered. I think no one
I do
actually
too. I'm talking about like there's no like main story. Like I can't tell you like what the main story is like what of like Skyrim. I'm like legitimately serious. I've never beaten Skyrim.
You're a dragonborn, kill the dragons.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Perfection.
Spoilers.
The interesting shit is like
it's all when I play Bethesda games. We talked about this with Starfield. I just like going off and doing my own thing and just going through the world and seeing what it has to offer. And that's what I think Bethesda games would actually do really well in being a TV show, is because this thing could go on forever if you really wanted it to, because of how many side quests, how many things in Fallout you could use.
Yeah,
you know,
there's a massive universe that they can utilize for sure. And
unlike Last of Us, where like even though Last of Us was really, I think it was brilliant. There is a set storyline for the game. Like Fallout, I think most people
get annoyed when people make a show and change everything. And in Fallout, they can write any story.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is they literally can do anything. I think with Fallout, they can do almost anything they want. If they want to make it more character driven, they can. I think it would be excellent to make it, dude. If they did like, I'm such a sucker for Monster of the Week shit. They could do some fun stuff with that too.
Yeah, so they've said it's going to be canon. There are rumors that they might include things like the origins of like the Vault people and stuff like that. And Vault Boy, I think, including him, like where he came about and stuff like that. The director also said that the ghoul character, he was like, we had to have a ghoul in it, and I wanted him to also be kind of sexy just to fuck with people.
He is kind of hot.
So like,
is he hot?
Yeah, he's kind of hot.
Why would they?
He'll come up
Who's
in a
the
minute.
ghoul character?
He comes up. There you go.
I miss him. He ain't got a nose.
Yeah. So they were like, we want it to have a ghoul, but he's got to be kind of hot. So they made him.
Gotta get the ladies.
So yeah. So
we gotta get the ladies.
all the monster fuckers are gonna be happy.
Color is Hwamin, right?
Sorry, second.
Is a female lead, right? The Vault Dweller.
Is it a woman?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Potentially, I suspect there's multiple main characters.
Which is canon for me because every game where I can choose my gender, I'm a woman, because I'm looking at the behind of someone, and just I prefer that to look at.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
In a video game.
No, I think this could. I am gonna watch this because I think there's a lot of potential that they could do with it, and I think they could make this a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely recommend.
I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely recommend watching the trailer after the stream when you can.
I'm gonna take a look at the trailer.
I want to hear it, but visually, I was like, yes.
Genuinely looks
opening
really
the
good.
vault, I was like, oh, that's just the vault in Fallout 4, right?
You could do. There's so many things. There's so many cool things you could do with that. Like, what was it? Fallout. It was New Vegas, where it's like, oh yeah, hey, what's up?
The story of Vegas is someone tries to kill you, they fail, and you get revenge. You get revenge like a quarter of the way through the game.
Yeah. You can do it immediately, or you can do it right near the end and then discover that there's even more.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Fallout 3 with Liam Neeson. I was thinking of Liam.
Oh
Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson. Yeah. There's some potholes in that though, with the ending.
Well, yeah.
I literally couldn't give a shit about the main plot line in any Fallout game.
Really, in all of these games, I don't know really the main story, because I'm usually like asking, like going somewhere else and just messing around.
Yeah. 100%.
And I love that's why I like what I do like about Bethesda games, and why I think that this could lend itself to be a TV show easily, because it's really gonna be really difficult to piss someone off unless you decide to follow a storyline.
Have you seen Fallout 76?
No, yes.
They have kind of turned that one around though
Yeah, but I don't care.
For the core.
No, I haven't played Fallout 76. I'm more referring to like the TV series. Like they won't piss someone off.
It's a lot easier to write the story, which is what most writers want to do, right? I have 203 hours in Fallout 4, and I think I've completed it once.
I didn't play much of
care
Fallout
about
4.
the main storyline. I just like the texture to the game, the story, just the little intermingled stories, and hearing about stuff all over here, and it all joins up. It's about the world, and you can do that with a TV show. And I actually want to watch a TV show based on a video game.
Bethesda customer support here. Have you considered that the storyline is full of flavor and Sorry. And Neil Armstrong and the moon. And
Oh my god! Can you imagine if there's a reference?
Uh,
but yes,
You're not following the storyline. Did you know that Neil Armstrong was born? Was
it was the first man on the moon,
though?
and you could be too.
He didn't have a storyline on the moon.
Kicking rocks, that's all he did. But yeah, like TLDR, I think it's going to be a really good show. It's 2024. We've got to look forward to that bad boy, and I think it's going to be a standout potentially. Like The Last of Us was a really good like adaptation. Halo with John Halo wasn't quite as good as people wanted it to be, unfortunately.
I didn't even bother watching that one. I heard it was so terrible. I just saved my eyes and my own sanity because I do like the Halo games. I didn't like Infinite, but like the ones that Bungie worked on, you know.
Yeah. I think with
I
the
did
Halo,
enjoy those, and I just didn't want to mess with that.
I think with the Halo series, you would like it more if you go in specifically with the mindset of this is just a sci-fi TV show that happens to use the Halo universe rather than an adaptation of the Halo games. And I think that's where people were disappointed. Like with The Last of Us, it's pretty much one for one, and that's what people wanted out of the Halo show.
Halo
but
is getting a second season.
yes,
They are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because with the
why?
normie audience,
I was watching it.
yeah, with the normie audience, it did pretty well because they just saw a sci-fi show and enjoyed it. It was
Yeah, some
specifically
people are
with the
really big
Halo
suckers for
fans.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, like I went into it just going, okay, like because they pretty much alluded to it not having the same storyline, and half the people that wrote it hadn't played the Halo games anyway. So I was like, okay, so they're just gonna like make up their own bullshit just using the Halo universe, and that's what it was. And I watched it and I was entertained. I wouldn't go back and watch it a second time, but like it was certainly watchable, and I can understand the mainstream audience just rolling with it.
I think what it is like personally, it's kind of like I feel the same way about. Well, no, not really the same as like because we were talking about the Zelda movie last week or last time. No, not so much. But with Halo, like because I know what the story is, I just can't bring myself to watch the show, especially
That's fair.
after now finding out how different, how terrible it actually is in comparison, in lieu of being like faithful to the actual source material and knowing that the writers didn't really care for Halo as it is. I just save myself the frustration with Last of Us. I think that's with games that are story driven like that, you need to be really careful with being like as close to and faithful to it as you can. And that's why you're right, it was so successful because you're kind of also introducing a new people who've never heard of the game at all. With Fallout, I think this could be something what it could be potentially good is any player new like fans of the actual games and people who have never heard of it could be exposed to something new. If they gave the writers enough freedom and they respect the source material, like as I'm sure they will. It seems like they will.
It's also on a normal platform, like not Peacock or whatever.
yeah.
What is it on? Oh, it's on Prime. Oh, good.
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Makes sense.
From the people who brought you 2-day free shipping.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't believe that's in the trailer. That's
that
great.
joke was. Oh my god, I thought it was a show. That's even funnier.
Yeah. I did
That's
tickle
even
me.
fucking funnier. Oh my god, I'm so dumb.
With Halo, what you're saying is if it's another, it's more proof that putting story into a video game has ruined stuff for gamers.
Well, no,
Because if there was no story in
I like
Halo,
the
they
story in
wouldn't have
Halo. I think
hated the TV show.
But the issue is
I
that it was a
thoroughly
different
enjoyed the story in the original trilogy and Reach. I like
TV shows are supposed to have story. Video games aren't. It's like porn.
Welcome back to the contrarian.
Here he is being all
There are loads
contrarian.
of people who don't give a shit about story. in video
by
games.
all means. But obviously, let's not pretend that is the same for all gamers. Like there are obviously people who love narrative.
There's people who love
personally,
fast
I'm very
food every
story-oriented.
single day. It's not good for you.
Or story driven.
And yet we
I
keep
like to
consuming
play. Sometimes story games or sometimes games that might even be a little linear are better for me because I have, I'll just go all over the place.
No, I've heard that.
Like I just said, I've never once beaten the main story of Skyrim, but I've had 400 hours in the game because it's like I don't really care about that. But my but I love that world building and the story in that aspect. But when it's not linear like that, that's what happens. I'm gone.
Yeah, no, I've
like
heard
a child.
I've heard very similar things from other folks with ADHD, where they'll in particular, like with the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they don't like that the story doesn't direct them in a direction, and they can just go anywhere and build something, and they're like, oh, and
that's
then
exactly
they
why I don't care for Breath of the Wild and Tears
Yeah.
of the Kingdom as much as the older games, because I need like sometimes a little bit of a few guardrails.
You need the guardrails,
like,
to say this is
I
story.
need
Follow
guardrails
it.
sometimes.
Yeah.
They're like, no. Go over there.
It's like, yes, you could do that side quest. No, you've just gone to another planet, darling. Come back. Like, you need to come back and finish
3
stuff
seconds
here.
of wait time to this planet.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Neil Armstrong.
Why am I waiting for planets?
Neil
There's too
Armstrong
many
took
load screens.
7 days to get to the moon.
Well, I want to be at the planet now.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
which is ripping into everyone involved now.
just making fun of Bethesda.
I was just watching we were just watching like all the Willy Wonkas the other day just because, and all I just keep hearing like, but I want it now. I just had that in my head now when you were saying that about the planet. Just very Baruch Assault.
Did you guys hear about the ads, the bug that Ubisoft were
And
having?
now I'm hearing about it.
So a couple of days ago, a few people have reported that they'd be like, just playing a game, say Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You'd go to open the map, and this big fucking advert would show up, going, "Oh yeah, 20% discount."
God.
So literally happening for them to be able to access the map. They go to open it, and it goes, "Here's an ad."
Technical issue.
Yeah, so people obviously complained about it on usual spots, Reddit and such, and Ubisoft did eventually respond, and they said no, it was a bug.
Clip. That's so ballsy of them to do.
Yeah, it's like the thing is that they're claiming it was like added in the wrong place, and there's supposed to be ads, but only as part of like sometimes when you can be in the menu of a game and it'll be like, oh, the latest update. Oh, by the way, here's some discounts, etc. They're claiming it was supposed to be for that, and it's like, how do you accidentally have it not be in this one small place that partially takes up the screen to a full-blown splash screen when you open the fucking map?
Yeah, that's not
an
banner,
accident.
baby. That's a full-on screen.
That's a human bug, isn't it?
Yeah, someone accidentally wrote up several lines of code to make that happen. Like,
right.
What the fuck? So yeah, so
16
obviously
graphic designers
You don't accidentally put the wrong size, like the wrong size ad in there.
Yeah.
Right when you open the map.
yeah, as soon as you try to access the menu,
Imagine being like
boom.
panicked, just like in the game, you're panicked. It's like, I don't know where to go. Someone's chasing after me. You open the map. Oh!
Yeah, no, exactly. So obviously there was a
What
lot
an
of
immersion killer.
there was a lot of people like obviously crying because the immersion breaking, the fact that they've paid for a premium game, a buy to play game, and
I'd
they're
say
getting
that's
advertised
more
to.
immersion breaking than Neil Armstrong going to the moon and having nothing to do.
100%.
Oh, that broke my immersion though. Oh.
Yeah,
Ruined it.
Ubisoft are claiming that it was not intended like that. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It just happened to work perfectly like that in multiple games, by the way, not just Odyssey.
What a coincidence.
It happened in multiple games. This technical bug, and it's now been like.
What other games did it happen in? Was it just the Assassin's Creed
It was
games?
another Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, I think it was Origins or something like that. But
I either think Assassin's Creed players just like, oh man, they're gonna eat up this Mirage.
yeah, but the fact that they're trying to pass it off as a bug just tickles me so much because it's such a
That's so funny.
fucking blatant lie, and it's also the fact that
See, but
even if it wasn't,
lie to people.
yeah, but it's also the fact that even if it was a bug, no one would believe them anyway because it's Ubisoft.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, that's
This is
a very
perfect example
Ubisoft thing
of
to do.
why lying about the mistake that won't work.
Yeah.
It's like this is so clearly like intentional, whereas Bethesda, you could say, "Hey, we'll look into an issue that like a 3-second
The reason we
load
give you
screen."
an ad is because there's so much data to load in the 3-second
There's
load
so
screen.
much data.
We have
There's so much data, and
we
you
have
know
to
what? We
get the
gotta
bloom
pay
effect around Neil.
our developers. The developers have not been paid. That's why there's so many bugs in Mirage.
Yeah,
So
100%.
They're screaming for help.
ads in a premium game, just like battle passes in a premium game, is gross.
It is gross. If I paid if I pay for this game, do not advertise to me.
Yeah.
And Ubisoft, like in the past, I don't play too. I got into Far Cry. I don't really like Assassin's Creed. The last, but I haven't played Far Cry in a long time. And I do remember like going and like loading up like Far Cry 5, and there's just like banner ads for like all their other games. It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm here playing this right now.
I think I would accept it on like an intro screen, start the game.
No, but
a banner there or a little.
They will throw ads. They do throw ads in. I think New Dawn. I think they put ads in the game. But
like if you're in a pause menu, you've already broken your own immersion. I think that's fine. There is a big but
I'm
for
more
ads
arguing that I'm more commenting that this is not surprising that Ubisoft would do something like this because they are notoriously advertising. Yeah, it's Ubisoft, and they're also notoriously advertising in their games of their new other games. Like
there is some, including Ubisoft, advertising that I quite like. Now, in The Crew, it's actually not immersion breaking. It's quite the opposite. There are banners and stuff like along the road when you're driving along, which is what happens in real life. And they just put advertising for their properties and stuff. Or there was Need for Speed. I think that's EA, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had advertising from like Burger King or Pizza Hut or something like that, which belongs in the game. It was actually delivered to you on an ad billboard.
Yeah.
And I actually really like that because it makes it feel more real and immersive.
Oh yeah, 100%.
See. I don't mind stuff like that. It's like I don't mind when, because I know Ubisoft, they'll do like they'll advertise their games with like cosmetics that you can get in the game because of like the whatever their online service thing reward
if
system.
It's part of the game. I think that's
no, that's
maybe
that's
not in the menu for your
like,
map, rather.
I actually think stuff is kind of cute. Like what was it? Cyberpunk. And there's the Roach game for The Witcher. I thought that was adorable. Like that's
more of an Easter egg rather than an Easter egg.
It's an Easter egg too, but it's okay. Yeah.
Again, that is not immersion breaking. That is delivered to you in the world, and it makes sense where it is. You're not playing. What's this What year is this Assassin's Creed?
17 or 18, I believe.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah. I think like,
but where are they going to put it? They can't put a big banners.
I think to add to your point,
Division 3. What the fuck?
Yeah, just put it in the sky or on the side of a pyramid. There we go.
An airplane flies past pulling a.
Probably what they were doing is like, how are we going to advertise an Assassin's Creed where there's no technology anywhere?
Ubisoft, large corps will push and push and push until we push back. So always push back.
Oh no, I agree. Always push back.
Yeah,
that's why live services are fundamentally changing.
They could have done something kind of neat, like a kid talking about the game or something. Like put it in an audio file or some shit.
No, I think that would break immersion as well.
Yeah.
Like
I think
put that shit in your menus,
whatever location it is, or telling a story about it, like. There's things you could do that you can advertise the game, not talking about the sale, because obviously it's for sale.
That's more Easter egg territory. They want to sell you something. You know what I mean?
That's true. See, because I'm if it's not obvious, I don't like being advertised to. So
no one does.
There is a tasteful way to do it, like in games, like in sports games. Obviously,
I do like what you said about Need for Speed using like billboards. That's a great option. Like something like even like Cyberpunk could do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
but
that,
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I'm saying like games that have like when you have access or like features like that, you could do if it's an area that where they have like flyers or graffiti, you could advertise a game there somehow. Like just be creative with it, but like
that stuff. I actually not just like don't care about it. I actually like it. It just makes it more immersive. But you're going to a map of a desert. It's probably a desert.
You're opening a menu, and then instead of the menu that you want, you get an advert.
That is the quickest way to get me to turn off the game. I would.
I wouldn't.
I'm that petty. I would just turn the game off.
I wouldn't have a problem if it was in like a pause menu or the start screen. Like, that's a bit slimy, but it's fine. Like, I've already broken my immersion by going into an actual pause menu. Or I'm changing my character and it says, "Oh, DLC for this hat" or whatever. Like, I'm fine with that. But like opening your map, like, "Oh, where am I going?" and it's like, "Buy the latest Schnurgelberg."
Yeah, that's just they gave you a pop-up. They gave you a pop-up.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, I think if it's done in a way that is tasteful, for lack of a better phrase, like in sports games, when it's part of like in a Formula One game where it's on the barrier, which you would have in real life racing and things like that. In the wrestling
or
games,
like
they have
replay
it.
brought to you by Red Bull, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, that you can do shit like that.
In wrestling games, they have it along the side of the mats and stuff like that. You know, that makes sense. But when it's a literal pop-up in a game that I have played
It's
where
like
I
you
want
need
to
an ad block
experience
now
that
to play
game,
Assassin's Creed.
yeah, like when it's something like even for me, it seems still slightly egregious in the start menu or something like that, unless it's something specific pertaining to the
I think
game.
if they did something like in the pause menu, not the actual menu for the game, like where you're trying to access the fucking map.
Yeah, not your inventory or whatever.
But you know how, like, I know it would be, at least with Far Cry, there is like you have the menu and then there's the pause screen. So, and like they'll have in the lower hand corner of, like, at least for Far Cry 5, if I remember, they'd have it the lower hand corner. So it would take up maybe a third of the corner, like, or so. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not good with fractions, but it would be like a small little ad right there, and it might,
But that is like a
marquee.
literal pause screen, like using the map in the game.
Yeah, no, that's
you're
what
not
I'm saying.
pausing. That
I
is
wouldn't be
part
as
of the
pissed.
game. That is a mechanic, right?
But I would still be mad if I went into the pause screen and I got a pop up. If they did it that way, where it's like a smaller ad, where it's just
that's where it should be. You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, don't do the pop up
A
at
premium
any
game.
point.
Premium.
In a premium game, you paid cash money for it.
And that's the thing. Like I'm of a slightly different mindset to you guys. When I buy a product, I don't expect to be advertised within that product, be it a physical thing. Like my Echo Dot, every now and then I'll be like, oh, what's the weather like? And then at the end you'll go, oh yeah, it's going to be -3 degrees and your ball's going to fall off. By the way, did you know there's this application you can download in this skill that will give you like an hour's premium of sleeping or whatever? And I'm like, fuck off, Alexa, I didn't ask for that. Like in games where I've paid money for something or a product or whatever, I don't want to be advertised to unless it is specifically something pertaining to within that product itself.
Yeah.
So in
and
a
you
game,
don't want to be interrupted mid gameplay.
Yeah, don't interrupt me mid game. And like I said, like I use the Far Cry's pause screen, like that with the ad in the corner. That doesn't bother me. If you want to advertise like a sale or like in the Ubisoft, whatever the fuck theirs is called, you know, that you have a sale going on, put it down there. It's not taking up all of my it's not directly in my eye line when I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I don't mind, like, if a game has like some clever way of advertising using billboards, for example, or like you could do like some kind of graffiti, like something that just feels more organic within the game.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, but don't throw an ad in my face.
Yeah.
Like, and especially a pop-up ad. When I paid $60 or $70, however much games are these days.
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, you said that was an older game, but still, even then, that actually is kind of a little more slimy to me. Is like, think about it, you're loading up like, oh man, I really like this, you know, this game, but there's like newer versions of variants that came out, like Assassin's Creed. You're a big fan of Black Flag. You're like, I'm gonna go play Black Flag or Valhalla. Well, did you know there's a new one that's out right now?
Do you know there's Moon 2?
Yeah, like did you know that Neil Armstrong might have gone to a second moon? But like,
you could beat him.
If something about that feels like particularly slimy, where it's like sometimes like I'll load up like Fallout New Vegas because I just like New Vegas better. And if I was playing it and in the middle of the game, I bought the game, I've had it for a long time, and in the middle of it, they're like, oh, so also Fallout 4 is on sale, or Fallout 76 is on sale with a pop-up. I'd be like, what the hell? Dude, I'm playing an older game.
Yeah.
You should be even more so left alone.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I mean. It just feels kind of like, hey, I see you playing this older version.
You haven't gotten money out of you for 20 years. Here's a game you should buy right now.
Yeah. Let's move on now.
It's nonsense. I think we're agreed.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. But moving on, quickly want to give an update on the Jirard, the completionist / open hand situation.
It's not looking good.
Yeah, so it's not looking good. I won't go too much into it because nothing's concrete, but obviously since we last spoke about it, we found out that Open Hand, so Jirard is part of an organization called Open Hand, which is supposed to be like a not-for-profit, and they're holding all the money at the moment, or allegedly holding all the
research,
money.
That's what they're raising.
Yeah.
And to bring everyone up to speed, basically they've been raising money and trying to get money for dementia research, and it goes towards this open hand, non-for-profit, and they are supposed to then donate it to specific charities. They have never donated the money, though. It just seems to allegedly sit in this pot and it hasn't been spent. Jirard then found out that Open Hand hadn't been donating the money about a year ago. But despite that, has since done his usual annual Indieland event, which is to raise money for Open Hand.
Again?
Which goes so only the once. I'm just bringing everyone up to speed.
Oh, only I thought you meant he did another one. I was like, oh my god, did he do it again?
So since finding out, he's basically said nothing about it and was like, yeah, we're raising money for dementia research, blah, blah, blah.
Citing a lot of charities that he's working with.
Yeah.
Those are the words he uses.
Despite the fact that there's no evidence that they've received money from Indieland or Open Hand. God, fucking names. But it turns out that there was a second avenue of money or donations, and there is basically this like golfing event that they do annually, which they've been doing since 2003.
What money's paying for that?
So they get loads of sponsors like Coca-Cola, Monster, like big ass sponsors paying for the food and stuff like that, and there's people
you
have
can
to pay
support
to get in
different tiers, which they advertise how much these tiers cost,
which is like as much as sometimes $8,000 to $10,000 per person and stuff like that to get involved in this event. And Open Hand, the not-for-profit, wasn't actually registered until 2014, so they were already raising money through this golfing event, donating it to dementia research. Then they changed it to Open Hand Foundation, which is this dementia research charity allegedly. Then Indieland started doing it, and so that there's even more money that we weren't aware of.
Yeah,
and a lot of this money also
I don't know
isn't
why.
being disclosed.
Every time you keep calling it open because it's open hand, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All I hear is "Give me money."
Give me money. Here's the open hand. Which
That's all
it is
looking
kind of
like that
symbolic,
at the
isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's especially with this news. All I keep hearing in my head when you say open hands, like "Give me money, please, more, please," from like Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
there are photos
Wow.
of alleged, I think it was 3 years that Carl was going on about in his latest video. I haven't watched the Ordinary Gamers one yet. That show sponsors at the different tiers, which they list the prices of in other photos and also on their website. And the numbers, like they show all the sponsors, the different tiers. And when you start adding that up, the numbers that they're showing in their account are not adding up to what they've been advertising these certain tiers cost to advertise out for these companies.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a big discrepancy on how much they have shown pictures of, which would appear to show that they are getting at least like, let's say 60 grand, which I think they've been earning like 80 grand usually, or they've been earning a number consistently, and the last 2 years or 3 years, it seems to show in their accounts that they have earned like $2,000 to $6,000.
Yeah.
Even though these tiers, some of these tiers cost 10 grand, 20 grand.
So TLDR is even they haven't been properly disclosing how much money has been earned through bits, merchandise, and stuff with Indieland. And they haven't until very recently. They were until very recently showing the money that was coming from this golf event, but in the past like 3-4 years, it just hasn't been added to it. So there's a lot of money going towards this Open Hand Foundation that hasn't actually been disclosed.
Appears to have not been
money,
disclosed.
I guess. Jesus, dude.
And they still haven't found anywhere for the money.
Yeah, no,
Which they should have done instantly the second this blew up.
Yeah,
dude, I'm still.
Unless they don't have the money.
I mentioned like this,
That's my
like
theory.
kind of screwy, like God, because it sounds like it that they put this money in an account that accrues interest, and I have a strong feeling that's what they're doing. If they have not donated the money yet, because really, when you think about it, if they did that, because of the fact that it's still not found a place, somebody put that. there has to be interest accruing in that, and if any of that money gets taken
No,
away,
it's actually there is no interest on any of these. Yeah, that's
okay.
it's not in that kind of account.
Well, you said it was.
It's a static
You guys said
account.
it was sitting in a bank account.
Yes, which doesn't. It's a type of bank account that doesn't accrue interest at all.
How are we sure?
Yes. No. That was in not the latest Ordinary Gamers video, the one just before that.
Okay.
One
If
before
he
Carl's
confirmed that, then
version.
that's fine. Because so I don't understand any. Like this
But
is very bizarre.
It doesn't seem like they're saying all the money. They're not having running totals, which a charity, like let's say you fundraise it on Twitch, you got it on the screen all the time. Like they're not showing a running total. They're not disclosing the money. They're just showing tax returns. It's blown up now, and you just give the money. Also, Open Hand and Indie Foundation have just closed off and not said anything, which
this whole
looks
thing is really
from the outside
sketchy.
like they're just gonna not say anything and hope it blows over.
Yeah, but you're
And
not.
It's not gonna blow over.
Is when something like this will not just blow over. Like it's one thing. Like you hear about YouTubers scamming people all the time, but when charity is involved, that's when it's like that's a no nonsense thing. Like for a lot of people, we donate money with the intent of that going to a charity. This isn't like, oh, you scammed some of your fans and like they bought something that they, like something that was turned out to be a piece of crap, or like they didn't receive the product. This is literally a charity money.
Yeah.
That's not something that people are just going to easily forget, because you're also, because any time when you're messing with people's goodwill, like when you're like, it's them giving money to you with the expectation it's going to help other people, that's like a next level kind of scummy.
Oh, yeah.
It's moved on from that though, because at the moment it appears like it is actually illegal.
Yeah. Before it was, oh, they haven't just. It looked like, oh, they've got the money, they just haven't donated it to the correct charity yet. It could be something as innocent as that. Whereas now it looks like fraud.
It looks like actual.
It looks very much like fraud.
Like allegedly, it looks like fraud.
Allegedly, this looks like fraud. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Best case scenario.
That was just a quick update anyway, because we ultimately it's a growing and ever changing situation, and who knows, maybe Jirard will step up and say something. Cult of the Lamb. Have you guys heard about Cult of the Lamb adding sex to the game, or wanting to add sex to the game?
Not sex.
Oh, that's what you put?
I wondered what that meant.
I was like, seconds?
Yeah, sorry. A typo, yeah. It's supposed to say sex. So they did a tweet when they were at 280-something thousand followers, and they were like, if we get 300,000 followers by the end of the year, we will add sex to the game. Obviously, that could mean anything. Within 2 hours, they gained the 10,000 needed. Within 2 days, they basically almost doubled their following. So people really want sex in Cult of the Lamb.
Can we keep in mind that Cult of the Lamb also tweeted that they were about to pull the game from the store, so buy it now before Unity changes, which was not true. It was a meme, but it was not true. This Cult of the Lamb is also a very memey Twitter. This might not be real. This might not be.
Oh no, they've expanded on it. That they are adding sex to the game, but
they are. Did they put it on Steam yet? Like any
no,
I need a one-handed game, damn it!
That's the thing. It's ambiguous. What is adding sex to the game? So what they've said is they are actually taking like pages out of Pokemon's book and things like that and other shows. So they're going to do it without it actually affecting the age rating on the game, so it's still accessible to more people. But it's probably going to be like implied stuff.
Are they going to just breed cultists? Are your cultists just going to multiply?
It's probably going to be something to that effect, I imagine.
I think it's going to be that. I just went over I don't have Cult of the Lamb installed, so I went to go look at this, just the page, and there is Sins of the Flesh.
Yeah.
Is our next free oh my God.
Yeah. So
they kept to their word.
To be honest, like Devolver and the games that they have under their wing, they never miss when it comes to their marketing and stuff like that. They always know how to get people and meme properly. Like they know their audience, don't they? and I think it's impressive that just by saying we're going to add sex to the game, which is ambiguous as fuck, yet
Or
like
if they just added gender option.
it could be something as silly as that.
Yeah,
'Cause
it might be a gender option because I was just going to say I don't remember the animals having genders.
Yeah, I don't think it is going to be as something as like simple as that, because again, what they've said in interviews and articles, that it does seem to be more of a breeding thing, and it's going to be more implied sex, and they're basically going to take they're going to look at it in the same way that the Pokemon animation looked at sex with like Team Rocket, like when Jesse and James would dress up as the other gender. Suddenly James would have tits, but they wouldn't explain that, and it wouldn't be like provocative or anything like that. You know, they're just basically going to throw things in the game to be like, look, it's implied that they're banging, but you're not actually going to see people shagging on the screen or anything like that. So yeah,
They're
it's just
people,
stuff like that.
they're animals.
Animals, sorry, apologies.
They're animals. This is the Discovery
cultists.
Channel.
The cultists.
Animals are people too.
Animals. Oh,
What was
no, they're
anything
animals.
else? Oh, so the last thing. Did anyone want to talk about anything else before I talk about PoE?
Yeah, go ahead on PoE. I really don't. I unfortunately have been preoccupied for the past like 10 days, so I haven't been keeping up with anything. So
Not to worry, not to worry.
Carry on.
So PoE, for those who are action RPG enjoyers, they just did a update for for two things. So they've done an update showcasing some more of Path of Exile 2, which is going to be in closed beta next year. It looks pretty fucking sick. They were mainly showcasing the mercenary, who is more towards the end of the video that's on screen at the moment, and they've added AWSD movement, so it's not just point and click now, so you'll have a bit more control. The mercenary basically uses crossbows, or is supposed to be like predominantly using crossbows, and they've essentially made it so they behave a little bit like guns. So there's like a sniper crossbow, there's like an assault rifle crossbow essentially, and the idea is with WASD you can move backwards and continue firing and stuff like that. It looks really good. The engine
pretty
looks
cool,
beautiful.
actually.
Yeah, like people are reacting to it really, really well. So that's something to be excited about. If you are not familiar with Path of Exile 2, highly recommend the most recent showcases, both for the mercenary and the ones that were at ExileCon. It looks really, really cool. They also then showed us a new league that starts in a couple of days on the 8th.
What's this about dodge rolling before you get into the league?
So they added a dodge roll for Path of Exile 2, and it's infinite dodge roll. So you can just dodge
Like
whenever
an
you want.
iframe dodge roll type thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so Path of Exile 2, the combat is a lot more deterministic. There's a lot more tactics to it and interaction. So you want to think about your placement and stuff like that. Whereas in Path of Exile 1, you zoom around, you press one button and delete the screen kind of thing. You just build one uber powerful, strong build. Path of Exile 2, you want to see how your skills can interact with each other. So you briefly saw the druid, for example. So the druid can summon a volcano that spits out molten orbs of murder. But if you then turn into a bear and stamp the ground around the volcano, it spurts out more of these orbs.
You could be a werebear.
Yeah. So you could be a werebear druid. This could be a wolf. So yeah. So they add synergy between the skills other than numerical synergy. There's actual interactions. Cool. Yeah. So like the melee combat in 2 is going to be a lot better because all melee skills have some kind of movement in them. Whereas in Path of Exile 1, if you do a melee ability, you're static. You could be running and you go, oh, I need to hit him. So you have to stop, hit, come out of the animation before you can move again. Whereas with WASD movement, you can just be moving and firing and whatnot. So it looks really, really cool. They're also doing the new league, which I'm very, very, very excited about because they're going ham with it. So in Path of Exile, you have your character class. So you can have like the Shadow, who's kind of like a rogue. You can have the Witch, who's obviously like caster. You got the Ranger, who tends to be with bows. And then they have subclasses which specialize a little bit more. So if you chose the Shadow, who's the rogue, you could either get the subclass Assassin, which makes it more that you do a lot of crit damage with your attacks. And there's the Trapper stuff, so you can throw traps and bombs and things like that. Or you can go into Poison. So there's like 3 different subclasses to that class. They're adding a second subclass. So you get your initial class, your Ascendancy as it's known as, and then a second Ascendancy. So that's going to be part of the mechanic. You've got
at the same time? Or do you have to like
so they're leveled up in different ways. So you could be like, okay, I'm going to be the Shadow, I'm going to be an Assassin, and then you've got these, and they're specific to this league. So it's borrowed power, and then you can be like a warlock or a magi or something else.
Oh, like multi-class thing.
Essentially, yeah, essentially multi-classing. And some of these new classes that they've made or ascendancies they've made are actually customizable even further. Like one of the classes is literally you can buy the passive skills from the merchant, and the passive skills are actually combinations of other classes. So that there would be one like Juggernaut's Totem of Assassination, so you'd get like partially an effect from the Juggernaut class and another effect from the Assassin class, but you then add that and buy that and add it into your secondary ascendancy, which I know I'm not explaining very well, but yeah, it's more customization basically. So go on.
Is this because people love to break the game, right? You just want to make broken builds, and now they're going, you can do that, look, have more. So you can be even more broken, and that's the point of that mode.
I feel like that is, because that's what I understand. Path of Exile is all about, like it's, I mean, it's all about making builds, but just I can imagine.
Yeah, but you're trying to make an optimal build, and the developers are trying to balance that so you're not broken compared to everyone else. But then you've got this league where you can have a second class essentially. That you mix with this new class, if I'm understanding you right.
Yes.
You have your class and then you do another one and try and mix this together so it synergizes, but makes it completely broken. But this is in a different place. Like this league is not in the main game. It's the separate place you go to do that. So it doesn't, you don't have to worry so much about how busted this thing is.
Yeah, so before I referred to it as borrowed power. So usually each league adds a mechanic, not necessarily permanently, but adds some kind of borrowed power. So in the previous league, it added this entire mini game where you could earn rewards, and some of the rewards were basically secondary passives on the passive tree. They were called tattoos. So you could replace plus 10 dexterity with plus 10 fire resistance and stuff like that. You could basically customize it. Tattoos are now gone because the league has been completed and the new league's about to start. So each time there's a league, it introduces some kind of mechanic where you can make even crazier, funkier, cooler builds. And then if it's overpowered, it doesn't matter because by the end of the season, it's gone and they're going to introduce a new one. What they often do is if a mechanic is received particularly well, they will look at how they can introduce that into the core game. So it's called going core. So for example, Sanctum was recently added as core. They had to wait a league before they could add it because they had to basically reevaluate it because some of the items you could get from Sanctum were just too powerful. They were essentially, you could get these things called relics that acted like a keystone passive, so like a really good passive skill that gave you a really good power up. So they had to find a way to get rid of that but still give people a reason to play Sanctum and things like that. So it got completely rebalanced. And likewise, they're re-adding Ultimatum, which was like a double or nothing mechanic where you go into this trial, you have a fight. After the fight, you go, okay, you can either walk away with this reward, or you can make it harder with these modifiers in the fight, like you have less dodge rate or whatever, but you can get a bigger reward, maybe twice the currency that you're about to get, or an entirely different item, and you can do that for 10 rounds. Now, before, that was actually stupidly powerful, so they had to rebalance it, and it's actually been about 3 or 4 leagues since Ultimatum, and now they've gone, okay, that's being brought in as core, so as a side addition to the new mechanic itself, which is coming in with the Affliction League, and which is involving all these ascendancies. But yeah, TLDR, this is probably going to be one of the biggest meta shape-ups in the game, because they're adding this secondary ascendancy, they're adding additional items that are part of the league that just fuck with how skills work. They've actually changed fundamentally the skill system. So one of the things that you could do previously is you could do this mechanic called the labyrinth, and at the end there would be this font that you'd go up to, and you'd go, okay, you can enchant your helmet or your gloves and your boots, and it would add this additional ability to it. And that was something that people would farm a lot to get the perfect enchantment to go with their build, like a helm enchantment that gave you more projectiles to Ice Spear, for example, if you were playing an Ice Spear build. Then there was like other things that people would farm, like what's known as alternative gems. So you would find a gem that if you increase the quality on it, you would get additional damage, or you could get like an anomalous version of that gem where the increasing the quality of it would actually increase the area of effect instead, and things like that. So it was like 3 different mechanics to find these alternative versions of the stuff that you want, and they've now completely changed it. So you can get a gem, your usual gem, that provides your skill. So one that they've shown is raise zombie. So raise zombie, the normal skill, you raise a corpse into a zombie. Haha, you have zombies everywhere. Fantastic. You can now get like an alternative version of that by doing the labyrinth. It's completely RNG, but you get multiple options. You can add experience to gems and stuff to level up the skill. Or you can get a alternative version of the same colored gem. So you basically put yours in there, and then it will give you 3 potential variations. One of the variations is raise zombie of falling. It drops a zombie from the sky, and the zombie explodes. So you don't resurrect a corpse into a zombie now. It just goes, yo, here's a corpse from the sky, which explodes when it lands and does AoE damage instead. So that means that you can completely do a different spin on the same build. And it's like I've said before, the thing about PoE, and to answer your question that you asked earlier, Peachy, PoE is all about player agency. It's not necessarily about finding a broken build. It's about finding and playing what you want and making it fun and finding a way, utilizing the tools to make it viable, not necessarily optimal. Yeah. So like you could, with this new zombie skill, you could have it so you play which is probably what I'm going to do, play tornado shot, which fires an arrow that turns into tornado that fires more arrows. And then when they crit, it will just drop zombies from the sky. You know, that's probably the build I'm going to do. Whereas someone else might do something where if you drop a zombie from the sky, you teleport to the zombie and then do a nova of some sort and things like that. So you can basically customize the crap out of the ability, and they've just changed so much that it's going to feel like almost an entirely different game. Like I was actually dropping off PoE towards the release of Diablo 4, and they brought me straight back in with these last 2 leagues. I am so stoked because I was originally going to be like, oh, I'm going to wait until PoE 2, but they've made so many cool changes that I'm just like, I need to play the game more. I need to do all this cool shit. So yeah.
Is this what I'm like when I'm talking about Warhammer?
Yeah.
It's fucking adorable.
I was just about to say we should make one of our other special episodes is Brian explaining PoE to both of us.
We're just there going.
Well, the thing is, like, Peachy's actually asked for me to teach him it before.
Shark zombie?
Yeah, like I was trying to keep it to simple terms so I didn't blow your head with like, oh yeah, you could do like the Uber lab kind of thing. You'd be like, what, an Uber what now? But yeah, so that is something I'm interested in doing. I just don't know what format to do it in because there's just so much. Like PoE, like I tried to explain before, like PoE isn't a difficult game. There's just so much to it.
It's dense.
There's a lot. Anytime I think of PoE, I think of that skill tree. I'm like, whoa.
And the thing is, that skill tree is like not even a tenth of it. Like the skill tree is massive, and then there's another system, then there's another system, then there's another system. Yeah. There's so many systems.
It's like fantasy Excel, right?
In some ways, there's actually a third-party application called Path of Building that was made originally by one dude, and then he said, I haven't got the time anymore, and then the community ended up picking it up and doing it in like essentially open I forgot what the terminology is, you know what I mean, when it's open access, so anyone can basically edit it and like submit code and whatnot for it. So thankfully that exists. Path of Building exists, so it does all the spreadsheet numbers and stuff for you, so you could be like, okay, I've picked all these skills, picked all these passives, I've made all these combinations of bullshittery and whatever, and then Path of Building goes, okay, this is how much damage you're going to do per second, kind of thing, and it works out all the nuances as well. So like auras, orbs and things, frenzy orbs, power orbs, terminology that's going to fly over your head. Everything is considered. The maths is like highly worked out in this this application. So Path of Building, if you haven't downloaded it, do get it. Community Fork is the one you want if you do want to play any kind of Path of Exile in the future. Plus, if you get a build guide, most people make a build guide for Path of Building, and you literally just import it straight into your own thing, which is really cool. And it'll tell you what to spec into and whatnot. But yes, that
sounds really fucking helpful.
Yes, it's massively helpful. But yeah, that's the Path of Exile update. There's a lot more, but I didn't want to drown you all in cocksnoggery, to be fair.
That's what I'm saying we should do. That should be another Patreon exclusive episodes. Brian just trying to teach us both how to play Path of Exile.
We'll do it. We'll do
And
it.
we only stop the recording when mine and Pulp's brain start melting out of our
Just
ears.
leaking out.
Yeah, so it could be like hours long.
I don't even know what format we're doing, because if we were to like, okay, play along with Brian and you two like join my party, to get through the campaign would take literally 20 hours. And then you guys would only experience like 3 of the systems during the campaign. So it's like, do I just try and explain each and every system individually to you? Do I try and play the game with you as we go along? Do we
Let us know on our Patreon if you'd like to see that.
Yes, 100%. That is a good segue. That is a good segue. If you are not aware, we announced the Patreon last week. It is up and available. You will be able to have access to all episodes moving forward, ad-free, and with unedited as well. So you'll be able to experience what happens during the ad break in the middle. You will be able to access the specials as well. So the next special that we're working on is going to be the Peachy Teaches Pulp Warhammer Lore. So expect that to come up very, very soon. Just so you know, once a video has been made or a special has been made specifically for the Patreon, we are going to put something out on the YouTube. Not like a full episode, but something to, you know, wet your whistle, so you've got an idea of what you could potentially be missing out on.
I love the phrase "wet your whistle."
Wet your whistle.
It's very British.
Yeah, do check out the Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/fully rendered. Also follow us on Twitter. Was there anything else we wanted to cover before you go into shoutouts, or are we all good?
I'm good.
In that case, Pulp.
Hi, I'm Pulp Fiction. I'm a former Instagram model turned variety streamer. You can find me on all my social medias under Pulp Fiction, except for Twitter because someone stole my name. It was Peachy. And
Rude.
I will be on later today, maybe in about, it's 3:30 right now, Pacific Standard Time. I'll probably be on about 5:30, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, play some Baldur's Gate with subscribers. I gotta go pick up medications though. However, Peachy.
Hi, I'm Peachy Pixelate. If you like miniature wargaming and stuff, check out my Instagram and stay tuned to the YouTube, which there's something coming that's behind me right now, actually. Which is I can't remember. It's Peachy Pixelate. It's on YouTube. It'll be linked to the video when that video is out. So
Peachy Pixelate Tube.
But follow me on Instagram. Like I will be putting stuff on Instagram. That's where all my miniature painting stuff goes. And people seem to be really enjoying my stuff. So obviously there's good stuff there. Go there. Help me out. Peachy Pixelate Twitch, Instagram. Yeah, thanks. Brian, am I looking the right way?
You were. My camera's disappeared again. There we go.
Brian, you're back.
I'm back. I'm gone. I'm back. But yes, thank you everyone for watching and listening to the show. I'm Brian the Pirate. I can be found on basically all social media ever as Brian the Pirate. I will probably be doing some streaming tomorrow. I have no idea what I'll be streaming because I'm quite undecided, frankly. There's just too many games and I'm bored with Diablo 4 for the meantime. And the new Path of Exile League doesn't start until next week anyway. The next stream will actually be myself, Peachy, and hopefully Pulp. On the 7th, we'll be co-streaming the Game Awards. It's going to be very, very late in GMT time. It will probably be about 11:30 because we'll obviously get there beforehand.
It will be 7 p.m. here. And it is tentative I will be there because I've already been talking about it on my Twitter. I just scheduled my surgery and it's that same day at 2:30. So maybe I'll be there. And if I am, I might be still drugged up.
That's fair. Worst case scenario, we'll probably.
What the fuck is the Mario?
Yeah, but yeah. Worst case scenario, if for any reason Pulp can't make it, it'll either be just me and Peachy, or we'll probably try and wrangle in a guest somehow. Yeah. But yeah, look forward to that. Otherwise, follow us on Twitter, check out the Patreon, etc. And thank you all very much for watching. Farewell. We'll remember you.
Broken arm wave, guys.
Remember, don't fist or you'll break your wrist.